Howdy, folks. I'm going to talk a little bit less today and see if I can get a little bit more done. So if anybody wants to jump on, feel free. Hoping my sound is good. It was a little low earlier, but yeah. Let me put the link in the chat and we'll get started. Just list. Okay, so got some stuff to finish up shipping. I keep leaving some of my shipping stuff till the next day. This is not good. Usually I do this at after 9 p.m. the night before. I think there's something stuck too. Hello from Seattle. How's it going, man? Or woman, sorry. Appreciate you stopping by. You ever have this where someone, your label maker kind of gets, I don't know if you can see that, gets stuck on there and you get a little line over the barcode. What's up in Seattle? What's going on? still happening. Ugh. Rainy and cold. Oh, really? Oh, sad to hear that. You know what? I like rain though. I'm originally from London, and I don't see enough rain here in California. I mean, it's near Sacramento now. It was before I was in the Bay Area, and it didn't rain that much there. So I like the rain. Cold, not so much, but I like the rain. And we definitely don't see any snow around here, but you guys get, actually, Seattle gets a lot more rain than London does. People, for some reason, think London's a lot rainier than it is. It does rain a lot, but not as bad as some places. Hey, Leroy, how's it going, man? I'm good, good. Hope you're doing well. Oops. Oh, man, it keeps happening. I need to clean this thing. See, that's what's happening. That's what's causing it right there. Let's redo this one. Okay, there we go. A lot of people from Cali moving. Yes, there are. Let me ask you something. The people in, well, you're in Washington, but I've heard that people in Washington and Oregon don't really like people from California because they kind of, I don't know, noisier, more traffic, more of everything. Is that true? I heard that when we were looking up, we actually looked up north a little bit in Oregon and Washington. We were thinking about moving there before we moved to Sacramento. But that's what I heard. That's some nice countryside that you have up there, though. It's around Seattle. It's not cheap in Seattle, though. Yeah, prices are up, supply and demand. Yep, definitely. I went up there a couple of times. I went to, what do you call it, Seahawks Stadium, which ironically, I didn't watch a football game. I saw a soccer match. But I was like on the, what do you call it, all the way down, like in the second row, I think. That's a nice stadium. And then I like when you walk out down after the game, you walk out and it kind of feeds you straight into like all the restaurants and the bars and everything. That's very cool. That whole setup for I don't know if it's called Seattle Seahawks Stadium or what it's called, but that stadium is very cool. Like the whole area around it too. It's a lot of fun. Not much today. Okay. Different sponsors, yeah. I never know what to call things, but you guys are still the Seahawks, though, so that part I do know. A couple of years ago, you kept beating the Niners, so that was kind of annoying. How long am I going to be? I'll be on here for at least another hour, hour and a half. To be honest, I don't start the video until I get some stuff done. So I'd say at least an hour to 90 minutes, at least, maybe longer. Depends how much I get done. Yeah, I have these pictures I can't get off my phone, so I have to upload them from here. My computer is not reading my phone for some reason the last couple of days. So I have this extra step I have to do, which is annoying. I like to upload everything on the computer and just do it all from there. I can't do that right now though. How many your shoes? I need about an hour and a half. Maybe I'll come off. Yeah. Whatever you feel like. Don't feel stressed. Don't worry about it. If you can, you can. If you can't, you can't. It's all good. I need to start posting these before I should go live, but I was running late today, so I ran out of time. I was going to do this like an hour and a half earlier, but you know, stuff happened. Hey, Louie, how's it going? All right. Sounds good, man. Take your time. No worries. Can I still shop thrift stores with restrictions? Um, well, it depends where you're talking about. I'm in Northern California, so LA, I have no idea. I haven't shopped in LA in over a year. Um, but thrift stores in the Bay Area, I think, shut down this week, so probably not. I'm in Sacramento, so our thrift stores are not shut down. They're I heard them talking about it actually. I was there like a couple days ago, like I think Monday or Tuesday. What day is it today? Thursday. That's horrible. Yeah, I was there on Tuesday, and one of the bigger thrift stores, and they were talking about it. Like the employees were talking amongst themselves because they kept getting that question: "You guys going to shut down?" And they all just kept saying the same thing. You know, if we're told to, we have to. So right now, outside of the Bay Area and outside of I think LA County or maybe San Diego County, they're they're still open, I think, but it's county by county, so not everyone has shut down. But the rumor is that they will. So I guess that's why I went on Tuesday at least to get something. But you never know. But even when they shut down, not everything was shut down. Thrift stores were, but other places like auction houses and uh, Walmart's, Targets, you know, Ross's, those are still open. I think Ross is still open. I know Walmart and Target were. How about you guys in Seattle? How I have no idea what it's like in Washington. I think you guys had that 15-day, unless I'm thinking of the wrong place. Maybe that was Oregon that was shut down for 2 weeks. Hey, Mickey, how's it going, man? Missing my hometown of Sac. There you go. Hope all is good. Yep, all is good right here. Oh, must be. What's the weather like in Orlando? It's probably nice. It's got to be nice in here. Here it's probably 50-ish. No rain. A little kind of cloudy. Is it cloudy? I can't even tell. Not really. Actually, it's kind of sunny. I'm just sitting in a dark room. Good to see you on here. That was Oregon. Seattle just restaurants and bars. Oh, okay. Gotcha. Sorry. I heard something on the radio when I was driving. I never pay attention to who's talking, but I knew it was Pacific Northwest. So, okay. That's Oregon. So, well, are you still going out to thrift stores, or if you thrift, are they still open? Yeah, like around here. I mean, Sacramento's usually not the first, but it's usually not the last. It's kind of a week or two after the Bay Area, it'll shut down. People here flipping out because it's cold. It's actually 63. 63 would be nice. Cold front. We'll be back in the 70s soon. Best time of the year. This time of year here. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I like Florida, but humidity and that August, July, September. Well, actually, you guys have it for a long time. It's too hot for me. I prefer slightly colder weather. I like it between 70 to 80, 75 to 85, somewhere in there. That's perfect. Anything above that or below that. Maybe I'm picky now. I don't know. Because West Coast weather is usually kind of, at least Northern California weather, doesn't usually drop below 50-ish in the winter. Like if you go towards Reno, Tahoe, it'll drop, it snows, but here it doesn't. So I'm lucky about that. Summer is miserable. Yeah, see, it's funny who I talk to. Some people in Florida say, I don't know if they're from Florida, they just visited Florida. They say, oh yeah, they like the summer weather there. I wouldn't like it. I went there for a week in July. I thought it was too hot. Thrift stores are open with limited capacity, but I do shop at Ross, Burlington, tons of cool merchandise. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, thrift stores are kind of, I don't know if they're tied to the state or tied to the county, so they have slightly different rules. And plus, dealing with a lot of used merchandise, maybe they have some kind of, I don't know, rules that other stores don't, that have brand new only stuff. Even though Ross, they get a lot. Well, there's still new items. They're just discontinued or highly discounted items that they buy in pallets. But yeah, that's what you got to do. Seek out those. There's a lot of stores that are going to be desperate for your business. When they say shut down, at least here, from what I've seen, nothing's 100% shut down. At least even in March and April, nothing was 100% closed. I mean, maybe it was just places like Walmart, Ross, like you said, Burlington, Target. Yeah, I grew up in, oh yeah, Mickey, grew up in Sac. I used to get excited if it got cold to wear. Exactly. I mean, I wish people still wore starter jackets. They don't sell as well anymore. I think they're kind of coming back. See, that's the problem right now. The winter is getting shorter and shorter. Like, I'm complaining now because it's cold, but it's what, December 10th. It's only been cold for, I want to say, 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks. The beginning of November, it started. First week of November got a little bit cold, and then after that, it's in the 50s. So it's kind of cold, but it's not going to last past February. February is going to start to heat up, and then March will be warm again. You'll see 70s in the March, I think. Yeah, I miss those starter jackets. I had South Carolina to Rhode Island. Oh yeah, Leroy was talking about that yesterday. Until August to get out of the heat. Yeah. Yeah, some of the heat can be pretty bad. I've never really spent much time on the East Coast other than like a week here, a week there. But that humidity, I'm guessing you have humidity over there. So that must be pretty bad. I'm used to kind of a different heat, I guess. Open a new Goodwill not far from my office a few months ago. Finding good stuff here. That's good. Opening days, they're always good. Um, I think they purposely grab stuff from other Goodwills and they try and make the store look better than it is on the opening day. So get that stuff while you can. Finding good stuff here. Lots of yeah. See, you get all that Disney stuff that, like I was telling you, I think on the forum, you're gonna get that. And there's got. Have you ever checked out? Oh my god, like Disney Dan. I'm blanking on his last name. If you look him up on Instagram, he's a hardcore Disney seller. And he's always on Instagram. He's always posting on Facebook. He does a lot of Disney stuff. He's in Orlando too, so you should look him up. Maybe you guys can meet up or something. We interviewed him a long time ago. I want to say like 3 years ago. Russ actually met up with him, and I think they did a deal. So that's cool. You get all that stuff. We don't get it that much Disney stuff at all. Anyway, from time to time, not much though. Temperature will stay in the 40s for 5 months in Seattle. Yeah, we don't get it that bad here. It will be maybe in the 40s in the night for a month or two, but during the day, it won't be in the 40s around here. It'll be in the 50s at least. Yeah, look for him. He's all over Facebook. What is his last name? I should look up his last name. He's super helpful. He does a lot of like the Disney pins, all the Disney stuff. He's in the group actually, but I just don't think he talks that much. I've done a really bad job of advertising this group, so. What is his last name? Yeah, I'll find it. I'll send it to you. I can't find it right now. Let's see here. Even with this cold weather, I'm selling actually tank tops and t-shirts. So people are buying them, and these are not going out of the country. They're staying within the country. Get a tattoo of those window shade sunlight flares. People are going to think you're from New Zealand. Change your routine name to Fierce Thrift Warrior. Oh, I just noticed what you're talking about right now. See, that's why I have the windows closed in here. Because if I open it up, it's like I get hit in the face to be completely out of it. So, okay, there we go. That's a bit better. I'm so out of it. I don't notice anything. Someone could be hitting me in the face. I'd still just continue doing whatever I'm doing for a couple minutes at least. Even new stuff, not for me. Not. Yeah, Disney, they're a machine. I haven't had the best luck with Disney. Maybe it's because the stuff I get is not that great. I appreciate it. I feel like I'm, I don't know, monotonous. I have a kind of a, I don't know, an interesting interview style. So I'm still trying to figure that out, but I appreciate it. Thank you. I'll try and schedule some more interviews in. I need to schedule an interview with Louie again. He's got a lot of cool stuff to talk about. He's always got interesting ideas. So if you guys are listing, what are you guys listing right now? I'd be interested to hear. Yeah, their auction is cool, and they have cool giveaways too. It's not cheap stuff, so I appreciate that. With Luis and Louie, yeah, they do a good job. I should post. I'll post everyone's links in the chat. Even if it's not chat, I'll post it in the descriptions below, so you can guys do me a favor. If you guys have a channel, I know Louie's channel. But if you have anything you want to post, Instagram, whatever it is, post it in this chat right here, and then I will take it. I'll put it in the description too. So even if people don't want to read the whole chat, it will be in the description when I put up when the video goes up. Yeah, because people should know about their auction. It's fun. It's good stuff. Oh. Yeah, I sell Hawaiian stuff year round. It's weird. Do I ship overseas using GSP or other methods? I've done both. I kind of go back and forth. Um, I was in shipping for years and years and years, so I'm not a big fan of the concept of GSP, only because, well, actually, let me backtrack a little bit. I like what GSP does in terms of covering you as a seller. That's awesome. But because GSP is consolidated shipping, so that means, everyone, like for you in Seattle, everyone in Seattle on that day, all that Seattle stuff going to whatever, I don't know, Ecuador, or whatever country you're going to, gets put on one pallet and shipped out together. That's why it's cheaper for you. The problem is it takes forever, and those people on the other end get charged crazy taxes. And it's not eBay, it's even doing the shipping. Obviously, they're not a shipping company, but so for all those reasons, I'm not a big fan of GSP. But on the other hand, when you don't use GSP and you try and get a claim, you try and figure out a refund, a return, all that kind of stuff, eBay kind of looks the other way. So that's the good thing about GSP. They've got your back. And a couple times, to be honest, I felt bad, but they didn't even. I got an email saying, um, you know, where's my item? I called eBay. eBay said, don't worry about it. We'll take care of it. And that's it. It's done. I don't know if that person actually got their stuff or got their money or whatever, though. I guess that's the bad thing. So I don't know. Do I like GSP if I'm sending something that I'm scared will not get to its destination and I'm going to lose money. Um, but at the same time, you can use lots of other shipping services. But are you going to be covered? When I ran my shipping store, I had a lot of insurance, so I was covered in multiple ways, and plus I had a franchise backing me too. So there's lots of different ways. You need to cover yourself first. Just make sure that you're shipping correctly, the address is right. One thing I would say is don't alter an address ever. It doesn't help because at the end of the day, it come back to bite you. Even if it's only off by a number, have them do it. Hey, Derek, how's it going? I caught your show yesterday, and it was awesome. A lot of cool giveaways. Yeah. We have to see. Derek's in Sacramento, and I'm really bad about meeting up with people or whatever. So he's always been really cool. So you guys need to check out his channel. I'm gonna put his channel in the description for this when I'm done here. I'm gonna find Derek's channel, Louie's channel. I'm gonna put them in the description. You got to check out his channel. Yesterday he had like 70 people on his live, and so his channel's blowing up. You guys should check him out. A lot of fun. Yeah. Yeah, have fun, man. Yeah, you should. He does a lot of toy sales too. He does a lot of like all kinds of stuff. So you should check him out. He does a day in the life video, so you can see exactly where he's going, what he's doing. I actually watched his. I moved to the same area that we live pretty much in the same neighborhood, and so when I was looking up things, I was looking up people close to me, and he was one of the people that popped up. So really helpful stuff. See, I'm late to the game. Everyone does know Derek and Regina. See, I'm preaching to the choir, I guess. But to be honest, for a long time I stopped watching reselling type videos, especially when I was moving here. I wasn't watching anything. I was watching sports related stuff only. So I'm kind of I want to say since August, September, I started getting back on looking at more reselling type stuff. The internet is hanging again. There we go. I apologize for the silence. Yeah, the thrift stores around here, when I went on Tuesday, they were actually kind of empty. So I think a lot of people are kind of like weary of going out, especially this week. I'll probably check them out again next week if they're open. I think they will be. I don't think they're going to shut down 100% around here. It's not yet. The good flea markets, we do. I haven't been to it though. I think it's around Roseville. Derek was actually talking about that when I spoke to him a couple weeks back. So I think it's on Saturdays. I haven't been though. California. Yeah, when I was in the Bay Area, there's a bunch of them. There's a good antique one in Alameda. There's Santa Clara has a cool one. Treasure Island has a good one. There's a bunch. It's probably like 5 good flea market, or they don't always call themselves flea markets, like antique fairs, whatever they want to call them. And yeah, I miss going to those. I need to start going to more of those. Like there was a De Anza one, De Anza College. They're in Santa Clara, I think. I used to, when I was in college, I actually used to run the booths at one of those, a tiny little place. But yeah, that was fun. That was no fun getting up at 5 in the morning and do that because I didn't sell at that time at all. So I was like 17, 18-year-old getting up in the morning just to give out tickets. People would drive up and hand out tickets, and that was it. And then it was like $1 to get in. I think they charged for parking. That was what it was. You didn't charge for flea market. There were only like 10 booths that I saw there, maybe 20 at most on a busy day. But yeah, I hated that. That was no fun. Yeah, what are the flea markets like in Seattle? Do they have them with if it rains too much, or do they have like a? I'm guessing they have overhangs and stuff. Colleges. So nothing like California, one Tacoma area during summertime. We have tons of pricey farmers markets. Yeah, we had a lot of those in the Bay Area too. I'm sure they have a lot around here too. We have so many farms around here, so markets are not cheap. Some expensive veggies. And some good food though, actually, I must say. Farmers markets have. I got some of the best tacos I ever had at a farmers market. In front of a Kaiser hospital, of all places, too, in Fremont. So never know, right? I mean, I can hear the kids coming down from internet school. So weird going to class online in elementary school, but they're good at it. Like Fremont, tons of Indian food. Yeah, population of Fremont is like 30-40% Indian. There's a ton of Indian food. It's like cutthroat to Indian restaurants there because there's like three that are like really established. They've been there for like 20, 30 years, and the rest kind of come and go. But there's a ton of Indian food there. So if you like Indian food, go to Fremont. Actually, the whole Bay Area is kind of like that now. But I used to avoid Indian food though because I'm Indian, so I'd get it at home. So I'd always go for like tacos or something else. Yep, Derek is certainly killing it. He's just an open, friendly guy. So I think that shows on his channel, in his videos. Especially the dance challenge that he did. That was hilarious. All right. This shouldn't be cold for me. Right now, it's probably like 50 degrees here. Right now, the weather is 48. Okay, dropped a little bit. I should be used to this. I don't know why I'm complaining. Was talking to someone here in the office and just noticed the question about flea markets in Sac. This Roseville auction. It does still exist, Mickey. It's still huge. Actually, like I was talking to Derek about that a week ago. He was going up there, I think. I haven't personally been there. I need to go up there. I've been slacking. But considering the rest of Sacramento is still open, they're probably still open too. And if I've heard of them, then yeah, they must be huge. See, Roseville. Roseville is kind of a more upscale place too, so I'm guessing you get better stuff. Yeah, it looks like it's still open. Definitely. What's up, Louie?
Hey, am I on?
You are on.
Sorry about that. I was looking at my receipts and.
No worries. You got to keep
How
those
you doing?
receipts. Good, good, good. I'm just listening. I'm surprised people are listening to my babble. It's.
You know what? We all need to connect somehow. So yeah,
That's true.
Babble's good. Babble while you list. Anything good?
I mean, I'm going through shirts right now, shirt after shirt, because I went thrifting 2 days ago, so I picked up some more stuff. The thrift stores around, at least where I am, are not closed yet, but I'm gonna go while they're still open.
Hey, good to see you too, Sadiq. Sadiq is Marrakech. I'm pretty sure that's his name. Took me a while to remember his name.
Marrakech. Okay. I'm wondering if there's a Turkish. Sorry, not Turkish, but a. I'm blanking on the country now. Marrakech.
Yeah, I get. Yeah, it's hard because it could be like a fine line of like, and it's like I've learned between like one thing, like for example, don't you were just happen to say Turkish. I was like, don't ever confuse a Turk with a Greek.
Yeah.
It's like talk about a war ready to now.
I remember that from what movie was that? So I married something other. They have a big thing about that. The Turks and the Greeks don't mix us up.
Yeah. I mean, but there's bad blood, but then there's just, there's that stereotype of where, and I know some friends, like when I was in New York, they were Greek and Turk, and they would get along, but when they came down to politics and stuff, forget it,
Yeah, I see. I'm bad. I try and stay out of that because I will put my foot in it and like with a smile say something really dumb. So I just stay away.
At least you can admit that, because that's how I am too. Like I'll go, why did I just say that? I just put my foot in my mouth, and I'm like,
Morocco. See, I'm so dumb. I apologize. I don't know why I said Turkey. Morocco. Yeah.
Morocco, Greece, different part. I mean, they're on the same water stream, but they're way far apart.
I should know that because my sister, I think it was 3 years ago, they took a trip to Morocco and they loved it. They brought back this brown leather. They go around couches, but it's thick leather too, so it's really nice. So.
Moroccan design and architecture is like some of my favorite. When I was in Spain, the one regret I had when I visited Spain was I didn't go south enough to go to I think Alhambra, which is where the Moors came in from Morocco. They were, the Moors weren't from Morocco, but the Moors came from Morocco, and then when they like came up through Spain, to that part of the architecture is so beautiful and pristine because it's just everything's dealt with tessellations and mathematical equations and just I love the how it's like linear. It's like there's like a dark brown marble or whatever granite, and then it goes white, and it makes these beautiful arches. It's a lot of what's the correct term? It's like Islamic kind of architecture. It's just so fascinating. Yeah.
It is really cool. See, I'm horrible because most of where I went, I never traveled outside of Europe other than the US. But most of that was when I was super young, so I can't remember any of it. But my brother and my sister have been all over. They went to they've been to Northern Africa. They went all over Europe, Asia, everywhere. So yeah, they have done what I should be doing. The only places I've been to are that as an adult, other than going back to England, are Hong Kong and Tokyo for 8 hours. That was about it.
So it's a little more familiar, for Americans to stay within an English speaking nation. So the same thing. Like if you're from Britain, you go to the colony kind of countries, and it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, I can deal with that. They know us. And it was like,
Yeah.
and then I would always get slack because I lived in Italy for a while, and 'cause I had
Okay.
cousins there, and they were like overly paranoid. And like the one regret I didn't go do, and the only reason I didn't do, they said travel in twos, and
Mhm.
have somebody so you
Yeah.
got, and I thought
Always do that.
that
Yeah.
is, yeah, that is good advice because I've seen some pretty bad stuff happen, and it's natural when you travel and you don't know, but I got along with people so much that like thankfully they never thought I was an American, and I didn't understand, so till I had a dialogue one day. We were
Yeah.
at a youth hostel with an Australian and some British folks and some other English speaking folks, and there was a couple New Zealand guys, and they were like, so you're a Yank? And I'm like,
Yeah.
I said, if that's what you want to call me. They go, well, no, we're asking, like, are you from America? And I'm like, they go, you must be Canadian. And I'm like, no, I'm not Canadian, but I am from North America, and then they go like, you're confusing us. Like, are you from and I'm like, and I wouldn't say it, yes, but I also knew that, and by that point, like I was already there for almost a year, and I remember going, nobody liked Americans, and it took me a little while, but these guys were polite, and they said, let's just have a dialogue. They said, you're like probably the most politest American we've ran across in a long time. Not to say there isn't, but they said most of the tourist ones are just a bunch of jerk assholes that are just like assume everything's going to go their way. And I went, yeah, I get that. But they said not just Americans, but they said, yeah, mostly.
I have some stories about that because see, for me, I have the cross section. I have the, growing up in England and coming to the U.S. and just being there for a couple of months, and then going back. Then when I went back after 3 or 4 years, I didn't have an accent anymore. So then they were calling me the Yank, like, "Hey, Yank, are you from?" And then
I got to be careful because when I go to the British guys, they think I'm kind of being facetious, and I'm not, because I know, to me it's funny, but to them, Yank is like actually a slander.
It is. I'm like, all right. I mean, I've been on both sides, so it's kind of funny the way in Europe they see Americans. I hate to say it, but there is a little bit of that. Yeah, definitely.
Well, I mean, and rightfully so, because like when I went a couple times, I've called out Americans like, they're like loud and obnoxious, especially you get the frat kind of guys that are just being rude, or and just privileged kind of attitudes, and it's like, you guys are visiting somebody else's country. I don't care if it's a bar or a restaurant or a tourist place. Just be, I guess, but then again, I have like kind of a mixed European, background. I have grandparents that came, from the other country, not too far back, off a boat. And so like I was taught, always just,
when in Rome. Yeah. Yeah, and it's funny how you said about going in twos when you were traveling there, because my sister, when did they go? I want to say 3, 4 years ago. They went to Italy, Spain, and France. They were in Paris. They were on the metro, and they didn't know where they were going. None of them speak French, so they got on. My aunt, my sister, and her 2 cousins, I think, and my sister was last, and she got on. But she tried to get on, and the train closed on her arm.
Oh.
And my aunt literally pulled her through the door.
Wow.
Just to get her in. And then when they got off the train, they got off on the wrong stop. And then they were looking around like, this doesn't look familiar. I don't know what they were looking for. They were looking for, I guess, a touristy place.
Oh,
so he walks up to them, and he said, "You're not from around here, are you?" And they got really nervous. They're like, he said, "Get back on that train, go 2 more stops, and then don't get off until those 2 stops happen, because you're in the wrong part of town." And that's what they did. So yeah, you need to. There's a pickpocket culture, unfortunately, in major European cities, all of them, to be honest.
I'm glad you said that, because man, let me tell you, and the most like worst, I don't know what word I could put it, like it's just mega, was when I was in what just split. It used to be Czechoslovakia, but it was Czech and Slovakia. And everybody, even the train people that worked for the train, said, do not get off in Slovakia, which it used to be called Czechoslovakia, but then it was like the first part.
Or is it the Czech Republic? The Czech Republic?
Well, Actually, they said when you're in Czech Republic, they said you'll be fine, but still, really be careful. And that's where I saw the pickpockets. I mean, I've actually seen them. You
Yeah.
know, like if you're like, I was very aware, and I would like look, and this guy was so clever. Like he's passing this Japanese girl. Just as he's passing her, he already had his hand behind her back,
Yeah.
stealing, like, out of her pockets. And I'm like, wow, But it's like, but Slovakia, they said, do not get out because that country is still not formalized, and they're like, they'll fine you. They're, it's like going through like, the old stories that you hear about, like going through old country roads, and a cop stops. She says, all right, here's your ticket. Give me the money now or go to jail, and it's true.
I mean, yeah, like my I'm sure my friend was doing something stupid. Oh, nice. Urban Cowboy. There's a classic movie.
This is actually a book. It's actually they call it a souvenir program. Sorry, but I didn't mean to cut you off. But
No. I was just saying that I'm sure he was drunk and belligerent, and he was in Tijuana, and he spent a night with the federales because he had no money on him. I'm sure he couldn't even speak at that time. He was so out of it. And then he showed up the next morning. Everyone said, "Where were you last night?" He said, "I think I was in jail." That's how bad he was.
Wow.
They let him go because he literally didn't have anything. He didn't have anything in his pockets. He's all, well, I just pulled my pockets out. They could see I had nothing. And then he was lucky he didn't have his ID on him, to be honest, because that might have caused issues.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Depending on the situation. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah.
I wonder why Americans get such bad names. But I just think it really does have a lot to do with, I don't know. I don't want to say it on live, but it's like, but a lot of the youth and stuff are just, I think
it's like that worldwide, to be honest. Youth are youth. And, I mean, when people say rabble rousing, kids or whatever, there's a reason for that,
Yeah, but still.
Wherever. But,
yeah, and then there's cultural differences, which, I mean, there's this cheesy guy on PBS. I can't remember his name, but he's so corny. He's such a nerd, but he talks about the idea of just getting rid of ignorance. You need to travel, but then, he always formulates in his program, like, you better be respectful. You better be mindful. You better, you better want to learn, and, make it just fun. Don't make it about you. It's not about what you get to do.
That's true.
So I'm doing a little listing today too. I picked that up yesterday. I did a couple stops, and I went to I need to start writing. I need to make a calendar just separate, just for sourcing.
Yeah.
Like a sourcing calendar, like just to kind of, just, it sounds dumb, but like I forget. And like I was listening to you earlier, and you're like, what day is this? Wednesday?
Yeah. I do that all the time.
Man, if you can't even remember that, but then having a sourcing calendar make kind of like, oh, yesterday was, I did that. So you immediately remember, kind of like, and it's really about routine and pattern. I think for us right now, I think it's helpful. Maybe some people they go, I don't need that. But for me, it's also like a good way to remember, like, I don't want to do that. Here's 2 more options or something.
Yeah. You should set up a free Google, whatever, either Google Sheet or Google Calendar, one of those. Those are helpful for me because I'm lazy and it's already pretty much assembled for me. You just have to title it and date it, and that's it. You're done.
Well, that's interesting. You know what? Now that you reminded me, that's probably, I kept thinking, yeah, but I already got my Google. And I'm like, that's my normal, like just my for personal life calendar. But then I went, I did start a Lone Star Picker, so I'm thinking on that one, I'm probably going to do and just like every Wednesday, give like a notice, like go to half price off Salvation Army clothes, or whatever. Mm-hmm. And
I have one from 3 or 4 years ago that somebody else set up for me, and I still get an alert for it. So, after that, I just kept.
But now, do you take it for granted, and you're kind of like, yeah, whatever?
A little bit, yeah.
We all do that.
It helps, though. I mean, every little nudge helps. Every little thing you can do before you're gonna do something else helps.
It really, it's like being on. I mean, you don't want to be like on a constant thing, or like, yes. Ignore it if you go, you know what, today's I need a day to recoup or something, whatever. Yeah. And then, that's fine. But, or just knowing, hey, that's perfect. I'm going in that direction because I got to run this errand, and then I'm going to hit it, or hit that, just because I think for us, and like, especially you guys in California, as long as you can do it, like I was watching, one of my favorites is, what's his name, part-time picker.
Oh, okay, yeah,
And or is that part-time? Well, anyway, Matt, yeah. And he's,
yeah. I think
talking about the closures, but he's like still open,
he's in not too far from where I was actually. I think he's
Yeah,
in
he's
in
north
Hayward.
of San Jose. Yeah, Hayward. Yeah, Hayward. Is that
He
what you
goes
said?
to the same eco thrift that I used to go to all the time.
So you
So
would have
yeah,
bumped into him, huh?
I would have, but uh, to be honest, I'm really bad. Even like right now in the chat, like we're talking right here, so I completely ignore the chat because not because
Yeah.
I'm ignoring it, because I just don't. I can do one or two things at a time, and that's about it.
It is hard
So
to multitask. I mean, unless you just go ahead and say, okay, let's just make this about everything, But like right now,
exactly.
you're trying to list and have a live while I'm distracting you, and
No. Actually, this I can do two things. I can talk to you. I can list.
maybe just once in a while look up,
So
Here, I'll try. Hey, Marrakesh. Marrakesh. What did you say about Morocco? Are you from Morocco? Oh, awesome.
I got that from his name because this is Mareka 7, so I figured that was that.
I was gonna say, is it okay? Cool. He said the outskirts of Paris can be dangerous. Yeah, he's right about that. I remember one time I wanted to stay cheap, and stupid me, I just picked this cheap hotel, which turns out it was okay, the hotel, but the area, not great. Not great. Yeah.
I think as living over here, we think everything in Paris is like in the movies, kind of like, so it's not all like that. Even London too. A lot of parts are really dodgy. I remember actually one of the first memories I had of going to school. I must have been in first grade or second grade.
Uh-huh.
We used to go to school on the train. You go through this long tunnel to get to the train station, and all of a sudden you hear footsteps, and then my mom's purse is grabbed, and you just see a kid. He looked like he was like maybe 15, just booking it down the end of the tunnel. And I remember my mom looked at me, and she just looked at me and said, "All right, get him." That was it. I was like 6. And I ran about 10 feet, and then he was long gone. So she was laughing. She knew I wasn't going to get him. But she was so kind of used to that type of thing. That she didn't keep much in her purse anyway. But
yeah,
it's so sad that it was kind of like it's like it's gone. There's nothing you can do.
For you, even at that young age, you had this kind of like mindset, and so like when I lived in Europe, they had the same mindset. I kept thinking, God, that seems so like prejudiced, but it's not. It was just a reality. It was like in Italy, they said, "Oh, you're going to Genoa," because I lived, like in the north part, and they were like, "Don't go. Well, you don't go very." So I said, "Listen, I've already been to Paris. I've been to like big cities. I'm gonna be okay by myself." Well, they kept saying, "You don't know Genoa. It's a lot of like thieves there." And they're like, and they were right. Like my cousin said, "Let me just go with you then," and she did. And thankfully, as soon as we were there, she goes, "See," and I was like, "What?" And as I'm looking up, there was this lady chasing this guy because he grabbed her purse.
Yeah.
And it's like just that. It's like, you got a purse, I'm gonna grab it.
Yep.
And I'm just like, wow. Because they always told me, like, you got money, hide a lot of money, and then like keep your fake wallet and don't put much in it. Don't keep your ID in it.
Yeah.
So I used to be really clever. Like I had these really good boots, and I would hide my ID down there and my passport, and the majority of my money was like distributed. I never kept.
You have to. I mean, I remember the first time I came to the U.S. I was 8. We were at Disneyland. I didn't even have any money. I probably had like, I don't know, maybe $1 or $2, something. I don't think I even had a wallet, but I had this thing. I would wear 2 pairs of shorts. I'd have anything I had, keys or money, that $1.50 that I had inside shorts. And then I remember my cousin looking at me.
Whatever, that mindset's like, they're gonna get you,
Yeah. My cousin was laughing. He's like, "What are you doing? This is Disneyland." He's like, "What is wrong with you? Where do you even how do you even have money?" I mean,
But it's sad that he's that lead. He's like on the other extreme. Like he's just like, it really is, and he's probably right. But it's not gonna happen. But then again, you never know. Like you drop your money, whatever, you lose it. At least you were keeping it, But that you're 8 years old or whatever it was, and you're like, gotta hold. It's just a weird mindset, I remember being kind of almost on the verge of paranoia. But it's funny you say this because like probably about 1 week, 2 weeks ago at the most, I think it was 1 week ago. I don't know what made me think of it, But I came back from Ireland. I made it all the way through like Switzerland and parts of France, and I would leave my I don't know why I was dragging a suitcase at that point, or maybe I bought one because I got so much crap. And when I came back from Ireland, there's a boat that takes you to France. And stupid me, this American guy like tagged along, and he's like, "Come on, let's just hang out." I'm like, I'm doing my own thing. And he was an older guy, and he's like, "Come on, we can split rent and save on a hotel." I'm like, "I really don't, And then I went and listened to him, and stupid me, for 2 seconds, I left my luggage outside the door of this hotel, which like was well into an alley, but like I thought it's gonna be like 20 feet before somebody can. And I kept looking outside and kept looking. 2 seconds. I looked back, it was gone. Like, and I was like, crap. But thankfully, it was like only my clothes. But there was like a bottle of wine I wanted to give to a friend as a gift, and I always carried my goods, but then I did have one backpack, and thankfully I had extra clothes in that too. So it's like, I just remember being so pissed at that guy going, if I didn't follow you.
Yeah. I still have stuff right now. Oh man. Yeah, no, we've all been there. I've lost plenty of things. I used to leave things on the train. I remember when I was in elementary school, because you always take the train, and then in the evenings it's dark. It's like even at 4 or 5 in the afternoon, it's dark. And then I'd always leave something stupid. I remember, I don't know why I remember this. It was like
you're a kid, and kids do that. Just kids do that.
Yeah. Always, and then you go back, and obviously it's not there. I remember trying to go to the Lost and Found, and the guy at the train station just looking at me like, Lost and Found is an empty box. There's nothing there. I'm guessing people go through that too. So
yeah, and if you're a kid traveling, there's other kids, and they probably like, hey, thanks for the toy or whatever it was, Yeah,
I'm sure.
But it's kind of a weird mindset, because then I'm wondering, how does that translate to us as resellers? Like, somebody's out to get you. Oh, that guy's he's attacking me on eBay, and so like, I try to stay away from that mindset, but it's like it is that kind of like them versus us.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I'm kind of with you on that. I don't really see that like making a listing, and I'm thinking obviously about making the best listing possible, but I'm not thinking.
But when somebody wants to return something and it's like they're like a zero bidder, you start kind of all bells and whistles go off. That's what I mean, like when it goes forward.
Yeah, definitely. It's kind of like, you do have to kind of think for yourself, think for your own business, and those zero, like, it's funny you say that, zero bidders or zero feedback people or one feedback. I hate to say it, but a lot of times it's those people that complain or return, or people that ask you questions.
Or they're more likely than a seasoned one that's been through the rodeo so many times, or the picnic. They're like,
less than $10 or less than $20.
Yeah,
then it's more likely.
But here's your money, go away. I have one that's coming back, and I went, you know what? I put 35, and I remember, I should have known, because like they wrote me. I'm like, oh crap! And I've heard this over and over from the pros to like guys like us to like to the newbies, to the ones that are wet behind their ear, that are wet newer than us, and they all, like, it's always starts with, hey, does this thing work? Or hey, and they start, and like, I got 2 questions. I said, I can't confirm or deny that. And it's almost like they wanted me to say that so that they knew they can get. And it's like, this guy doesn't know much about it. And apparently it was like I was like an air conditioning unit thing. And I was just being honest. I said, listen, this belonged to my uncle who did a lot of work, and I'm pretty sure it works because it's still in the box, but I can't confirm because I don't work on these things. So then the guy wrote me back this email. He goes, hey, it didn't work. It only did the hot, not the cold. Da 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 da. And I'm like, whatever. He did ask for a return, and I should have just said. But the thing is, they would have charged me the same amount that I charged, which was like $15 to send it. And I'm like, so I did a partial return, and I went, just keep it, because I only paid $3 for that thing. Then I'm only out sending, the shipping. Or he's out for shipping.
No, that's a huge tip right there. A lot of times, that you're getting taken. The guy's trying to get a discount, trying to do something after the fact. But if it costs you $20, $30 to ship back something that maybe you have $3 in, like you said.
No, what? And if it worked, and they can, like, and it is a repair guy, like, whatever. I don't care who he is. But the thing is like, I'm sorry. So if I'm wrong, then you're out the shipping because I'm only offering $35 back. I'm not giving you all $49, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, and it was like, whatever. But that's just, I've learned that you gotta kind of, and I heard eBay will take your side on the partial refund. So it was more than half.
Yeah, no, they will now, especially if you do free returns. I mean, not everyone does free returns, and I get that. But supposedly they got more of your back if you do free returns or if you're a top-rated seller.
I'm top rated, but I refuse to do free returns right now.
Gotcha.
I don't know. Maybe I'm just stubborn. Maybe it's dumb and ignorance. But like I read and know my things. Please email me before. Ask any questions. I'm sorry. There's no returns. All sales final. And then of course something's wrong with it. I just deal with it and swallow it.
Exactly. I think if you're level-headed, you don't have to, because to be honest, some of the best sellers don't do free returns, don't do free shipping, don't do discounts, don't do sales, don't do promoted listings, and they have killer stores. So
well, I have 100% ratio right now. I better shut up because it was funny last year. Like I had this one neutral, and it seemed like I remember it just staying there forever, and then all of a sudden, like, oh my god, half a year, like went down to that middle section.
Yeah.
Because it takes 1 month. Seems like that took like a half a year, but then after the first month, it goes down to the half year mark, and then you're like sitting there for months. Now it's in the last final phase where like I think it's gonna expire this December.
Yeah.
And it's like, here's the thing: the guy didn't even say anything. He just put a neutral and put a period. That was it. And it was a brand new item. So I wrote them back and I'm like, what's this? And then I wrote eBay and they're like, sorry, can't do anything. I'm like, he didn't say anything. He didn't even give me a reason.
I don't get it. Why won't they touch a neutral? I've had that before too. I had a neutral for a year and I emailed them and I said, look, this guy's he's not responding. Look, you can see nothing happened here.
I'm not laughing at you. It's ridiculous.
I'm like, oh, sorry. I'm like, why? Is there some weird rule that you have? If it's
I think on those things, they're like, just fucking deal with it. That's their attitude. They don't care. They really don't care.
No, they don't. But one thing I will say, I should do a video on this because I've been through pretty much every bad case scenario with eBay. Like I've had my account shut down.
Have fun with it too. Just remember, Mo, have fun with it. Just kind of be your normal self, and sometimes kind of come off serious, and then do that thing where they always tell you to do, like when you're doing a film thing, like to catch the viewers' attention, you got to zoom in real quick and zoom back out, and then just like as you're saying, going, what is with these people, boom, and then go, and then just go, what is this,
Is there's a lot of truth when they say if you're having an issue like within the first 30 seconds, minute with an eBay rep, just politely say, okay, thank you. I gotta go. Thank you for everything. Hang up and call right back and get somebody else because that really does help. I mean,
they want callbacks, and they somehow, I think they know there's got to be a system thing where like same person calling back, They
do. The second time you call though, I would not kind of like slag off the person before. Say, I just spoke to somebody and they said this and this.
Don't say that, right?
Right next door. You don't know. I mean, I'm guessing they're probably in their own homes now, but still.
I worked for Black & Decker Corporation. Well, I should say I worked for them as a third-party vendor phone operator. And I knew all the ins and outs. I knew what product of theirs was crap. And I knew, like, oh my God, they have a lot of recalls. So like we had to deal with like, oh man, we'll help. Calm down, man. Okay, we're gonna send you. Oh, you are? Okay, we'll send you a new one or whatever. Or here's a part, And you just get them. The thing about that job was in and out the calls, in and out.
Yeah.
And this one day there was this lady. Her name was Mary something, and everybody goes. All the operators like me would stand up in their cubicle and would go, oh, Mary's calling. Okay, you may get her. Everybody knew her. Because she was like, hello, and she was like, da 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 da. Who am I speaking to? Well, I spoke to Mo yesterday, and he didn't help me, and son of a bitch. She was like,
all right.
And they're like, oh, ma'am, really? Well, let's see. Well, they told you that. Well, let me see if I can do something for you. Yeah, you better do.
Yeah.
She had nothing better to do.
I've had those jobs before, so I know what you're talking about. I'm surprised.
Yeah, you dealt with customer service more than once.
Yes. And I remember one of my jobs, I did IT support for educational testing. So
Yeah.
like these people that are trying to take exams online, trying to go
Okay.
to, set up their SATs, you get all those kind of questions. Like,
Oh my God.
what is my password? I had one person who yelled at me on the phone for an hour asking me what his password was. And I was trying to explain to him, I can't see, nor could I, even if I could see, give you a password. I can send you a reset. And that was it. That was the whole conversation for an hour.
Oh my God. And some people are just, some of it's just stubbornness, but some of it's just like, are you serious? Really?
Yeah.
What's going on here? Are you that blatantly ignorant? And some are. I hate to say it. I don't want to be rude, but it's like, really? You're in this different mindset. Like, you don't get it? Like, and they're like, because they don't know how to see beyond this.
They want to fight with you. That's the thing. That's the thing I figured out halfway through. Like,
some people
want to get into it with somebody. No matter what the conversation, no matter if it's you go outside and it's raining, they're going to come and blame you for the rain. Like, why did you make it rain? That's it. That's just it. I mean,
yeah, you live in California. It's your fault you moved in. That's why it rains all. Like, what are you talking about?
It's just that's their MO for the day. So I mean, they're going to come after you. So
it teaches you so much when you come out of these other jobs. And yes, I'll put semicolon I dot E dot, IE, that is to say it is so stressful to deal in customer service management. I didn't work for Sam's, but I worked at Sam's Club, and I would have to be behind this customer service desk. And sometimes I would step up, and even though I was a marketing manager, I didn't work for Sam's, like I said, but I did work whatever they needed me to do in certain things. But people come to me thinking, oh, you are a manager? I'm like, no, because I would wear a tie and I'd look, I'd dress the part. I'm like, no, ma'am, I'm actually the marketing manager for, oh, okay. Well, can you help me? And I'm like, I know, because I would listen all the time and say, let me just give you a tip, because you're going to sit here for an hour. Go here, go here, go there, and do. Oh, thank you. And their line would clear out. Their line would clear out. So that like every time they see me, they're like, Louie, good, you're here. You can help us, because they were so stressed. And their manager, what's taking so long? Hurry up. Answer the phone calls. Do this. Can you go get this stuff? Can you go unlock the cage? And I would like watch them and go, shoot, man, those were people. And they weren't getting like $9 an hour.
Yeah, and getting hammered for it too. I mean, yeah.
And getting hammered is right. Yeah, like when the managers were stressed, they'd take it out on them, and I'd watch. And I'm just like, wow. And then you wonder, because they would do this fast turnover, and if the managers didn't fire them because they were just blatantly ignorant and rude, and then they became nasty, which they came, it's either the personality or, like you said, they want to fight, or they just get so worn down they quit. And I'm like, you really? Is that why your turnover is so fast? And it's like, just learn some motivational skills. Give people breaks more often. Do whatever. And Walmart Corporation, they run their structure. They know they have to give breaks, and I think they're stupid if they don't. Because you're never going to run a successful program that's going to
That's true. I mean, I would be the prototypical bad person on the phone. My first job, I think it was my first job, I was selling newspapers over the phone. I lasted 4.5 days, because I was fired on a Friday.
After the training?
I don't even know if I got through training. Did I get through training? I might have got through training. It might be one day after training. I don't know. Because the first day I was so scared. And it was like 20 people cubicle, and they had not cubicles. They had these like the soundproof cubicles.
Yeah.
Like foam, like the foam around it. So yeah, the point is, I was calling at 9 a.m. I was the guy here on the phone. Hi, would you like to buy the San Francisco Examiner? I was calling the East Coast, trying to sell the San Francisco Examiner. I remember one guy said, "You know what city I'm in? Why would I buy the San Francisco Examiner?"
I'm glad you asked that. I'm glad you asked that. Let me just tell you something. Did you know your town sucks and you're...
I should have said that, but I was so petrified. Whenever anyone said anything, I would pause. And I remember people saying, "Hello, you're wasting my time. What do you want?" Hang up the phone. Stop
And
all
it's
that.
funny because like you're calling from the west. You now know this, but like when you're from England and younger and you're starting to get, growing up here in the States, you finally realize East Coast, they're just dry and blunt and direct. They're
not going to waste any time.
By the time you're ready to ask a question like, what the fuck do you want? I didn't even say hello. What do you want?
There were so many times where I barely said anything, and there was either a man or a lady like, all right, you know what? Let me speak to your manager right now. And the stupid thing I did at first was, okay, hold on a second. And I actually went and got the manager. And I remember the guy looking at me like, okay, you've been here for like 15 minutes. You're already asking for my help. So I can see why
they don't want to deal with it, but it is their manager's problem because it's not your fault that this East Coast person. But yeah, I understand. You're not supposed to.
No, that was the worst. It really was the worst. And it was by Friday. I already knew. I'm like, wow, I'm still here on Friday. I thought I was going to get fired yesterday. Okay.
I love this story. I love this story.
So Friday, the guy, I think I made it. Fridays, they gave out free pizza or whatever.
And they said, don't even stay for it. Just get the hell out of here.
Yeah. So I think I went to get one slice. He's all, yeah, grab your slice and leave.
He didn't.
He said something short like that. He's all, yes, all right. I think you knew already. I mean, he said it with a smile. He's all, I think you knew already. This isn't really working out for you. Grab a slice, and then leave because I don't think this is really working out for you.
But they never gave you a chance.
Yeah. I mean, this is when I was 14 years old. So you could only work in summertime job, you can only work X amount of hours or whatever. You get like a permit.
Okay. Yeah, you're still finding out who you are and stuff like that. Yeah.
So, but I was like, all right, whatever. I just need to make a call. Remember those things called payphones? I had to go find a payphone and call home.
I would have said, hey, listen, I mean, is it too much to ask? Let me just borrow your office phone. Well, go get another pizza. And then on the way out, I would have grabbed a third piece of pizza or grabbed the whole box and leave. Like, yeah, you guys, screw it.
And the funny thing is, I knew half of the people in the room were in my high school. So I knew, they're like, oh, looking, was a guy over there snickering. My cousin's in the corner laughing. And then there's another person kind of looking down because so I knew.
You're a good guy, and it's like they want you to be the roughhousing, but sheep that follows. And in a way, you're like, why do I really need to do this?
Yeah, that wasn't me at all.
And I'm glad you knew that. See, but they're laughing at you, but there's probably some that are either still doing that type of job. And they're not, I guarantee you, it's not, and I'm not making fun of them. I'm just saying, can you guarantee that they're happy? Especially the guy that snickered at you. What is he doing now?
I wouldn't be surprised. One of those people snickering was my cousin. So he's off in, where's he? He's in Georgia somewhere. He's in he's like in IT sales, something like that. I'm not sure. But
That's what I'm saying. Doing the same thing.
Yeah. Exactly. That makes sense.
And I guarantee you, he's got his downfall for that shit. But then again, you know what? Some people are really made for it. So like he moved up. He probably became the manager that pretty much knows, okay, if this is the game, let me get out of it. When I worked for Black & Decker, and I got in trouble. And it wasn't really my fault, but I'll take my part of the blame. But like when I was doing the calls and this and that, people would talk, on the side, and then I'm like, shh, quiet. I got to mute my phone because can't say stuff like that while I'm talking to this lady.
Yeah.
And this lady goes, what did you say? And I'm like, I didn't say anything, man. Like, well, I heard that. And I'm like, oh, great. And this guy next to me got me in trouble, like cussed or something. And it's like one of those things that the boss pulls you in. And if you never hang up on a phone call, because that's like, you get in trouble for that and stuff like that. And I may have accidentally hung up once by accident, like, oh crap, I pushed the wrong button. But it's like, they'll get on you. Like it's that mindset. It's almost like would you ever see that movie Office Space?
Yes, I love Office Space.
Guess where it was filmed?
Oh, really?
Yeah, not far from where I live. It's
okay.
Crazy. Yeah, well, the director's from around here. I think it's the guy that does Beavis and Butthead. I want to say, or one of those guys. But
he's coming again. Judge, Mike Judge.
Yeah, isn't it a Mike Judge film? I'm not sure. I may be wrong, but
it is. That's one of my top 5 movies of all time.
And it's great because I saw the build. Every time I would drive, like when I first moved here, all my friends were like, "Look, that building," and I'm like, what about it? But that's what they filmed for, you know. I'm like, who cares, you know?
Yeah.
I'm like, are they in there now? No, it was just an empty building when they filmed there. And I'm like, that's why they filmed there, because it was empty, you know.
Oh man, it's funny you talk about Office Space. That was like all my first jobs. Every single building looked just like that. I mean, identical. Like the kind of the gray beige carpet, the white walls, the cubicles even look the same.
Oh, and the sad thing is, it's still like that today.
Yeah,
it's crazy, dude.
Yeah.
It
is.
You know?
I did all those clean outs and all the buildings look like that. Big buildings, small buildings, they all look the same.
When I left New York, you know, I remember there was parts like on the outskirts of New York, like the boroughs, they had those little crappy buildings. They would do that stuff to, and I'm just like, no, you know. And then I came here thinking I was going to do it again, and I'm like, Austin really is a slacker city. It really is. I mean, that's why a lot of like California's community, like the young kids are smart and there's business on, especially the ones in tech. They're like, yeah, I'll get a good job and go buy me 2-3 houses, rent out a couple or whatever, you know, invest their money wisely.
Yeah.
And so it's more of a youthful city, although the older folks here are like sitting
changing fast though. Tesla's on the way. I don't know if they're there yet or they're coming. So they left. They're from my hometown.
Battery factory and like where I live in Austin. There's this weird town. It's still in my county. It's called Pflugerville. That's some old family name.
Where they're going, Pflugerville?
It's called Pflugerville. Like there's like these there's a lot of Germans in this part of the area that migrated here back in like the 1800s. Anyway, but like these Pfluger family, they made Pflugerville, and then it goes to this town called Round Rock, which is where I go to another outlet. I want to say it was there that they're building the Tesla place. I may be wrong.
So they're going from Fremont to Pflugerville. Someone's got to make a T-shirt out of that. Fremont.
Oh, it was in Fremont. It was in Fremont.
Tesla was the building was in Fremont. Yeah. So I mean,
that used to be the GM building. My uncle used to work there. It was GM. General Motors.
It was GM, and then after that, it was GM/Toyota, and then it went empty for a while, and then Tesla took.
You go to Livermore, right?
Yeah, if you keep going, further out there. Yeah,
I do. I've traveled that road so many times. I'm talking like back in the day before it was like all built up, and before those big turbine things for the air. Yeah. Before they were, I remember when there was nothing there, dude.
Yeah, I'm a little nervous about. I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know if he's going to keep hold of that as like I don't know. Still keep it as a construction plan or whatever they do there, because they do a lot of the construction of the vehicles there. But
well, they may keep it for corporate office space. You know, who knows?
It's huge, though. I mean, it's like I don't know if you've ever been there.
No. My uncle used to work there.
Then yeah, you know how big it is. It's like 10 football fields. It's like
the biggest, it's the biggest complex.
Yeah, because they built half those houses around that Louie back in the 80s just because of that plant. Like,
well, I remember when the plant was mostly parking lot, like, and I saw it grow up a little bit in like I think it was starting to I think it closed down in the 80s or something. I can't remember. All I remember is he lost his job.
Yeah, and they had issues because they had to bring in. I think they had to bring in Toyota because otherwise, you know.
Yeah, that's what it was. He went from working there, and then he was like, I don't want to work for the Japanese. And I'm like, what the hell? It was so stupid. It was like that movie Gung Ho. Remember that stupid movie?
Yeah.
Like, God. So racist, so Asian racist, you know.
It's so 80s right there. That entire story is such a typical 80s story. But yeah.
It's stupid, you know. But that's the way
I hope that he keeps that plant and just keeps, you know, building cars there as well. Maybe Austin's like the home
base. If he sells it, I mean, unless it's about this, but I mean, he doesn't need the money, so he can just pay the taxes off and use it for something or rent it out, whatever.
I don't know if he owns it though. That's the thing. I think he was leasing the building, so that's why I think it wasn't as hard, because selling that building would be next to impossible. They'd have to bulldoze it unless it's for another car plant. Or something huge manufacturing.
Wait, it's Fremont and then Milpitas, right?
Yeah, right past Milpitas is like the next exit.
You want to laugh? When I used to live in San Jose as a kid, you know where Berryessa Road is, right?
Yes.
You know where the flea market is?
Yep.
So I grew up in the 70s and 80s as a young kid. And then probably the late 70s, my mom said, yeah, you can go by yourself. And I'm like, I think back now, like I probably should have been dead or kidnapped because, no, because like, dude, there's so many scrounges there, and it was like when it was a real good flea market. Then it started kind of like getting wholesale crap in there. And,
it's huge. It's huge. I mean,
it was
giant
huge back then. So imagine back in the 80s, you're a kid going, wow, I found number 180, number 181 Hulk. Like that's the introduction of Wolverine.
Nice.
And I remember back then my mom yelled at me because I put $20 bill. $20 is a lot. And I spent $20 for both. And I turned that around probably about 7 years ago and I paid my rent on it. It's like, I just flipped it. It's like, oh, I gotta pay rent, let me sell it. And I wish I didn't, but should have got it rated.
No, I mean, I don't know if you can. I think you're right. I don't know if you can still find that kind of stuff there now. It's a lot of wholesale kind of repo stuff.
If you do, somebody's early, and trust me, the guys inside there would look for it first. You know what I mean? And yeah, I don't know. I mean, that place has changed so much. The name of the family that owned it, their last name was BUMM, Bum, the Bum family. And they bought my grandmother's property across the street from there.
All that property is gold. I mean, anything around there is,
Dude, if I were to send you pictures, you'd be like, you live there? Okay, so like if you're facing the front of it and where the entrance is, it's a little bit offside, but like if you go back towards where that cement factory is and stuff, I think it's there. And like you're going back towards the airport, that road, Barry, just before you cross, there's a little creek there. It's called Coyote Creek.
Yeah.
And I remember before they built this little walking underpath, they just wanted to, they convinced my grandmother to rent all her property. And I remember that day that happened, I was so sad. All my grandfather's walnut trees got chopped down. And it was like all walnut orchard. It was, dude, it was the best soil. My grandfather came from like Europe just to plant those trees. And he bought it, and he would go to San Francisco to like bring his produce. He had this old jalopy. And he would sell Swiss chard, bring the walnuts and whatever produce he grew. And it was a farm. And all I remember was like they put a fence around us. So we lived in an island around with all these parking lots. And they use this white chalk every day. There would be a guy pushing a little cart making white chalk to make parking spots. Is that funny or what? And I just remember that. And so my sister goes, did you see it? I'm like, see what? She's like, go on Google Maps. So I did it. And I was like, fucking despicable. They're all condos, and they're like property. Like, high-story condos. They could have been high-story condos, but no. And I'm glad they didn't. But they built these like really expensive condos, and the smallest street. They have these little in and out streets there. The smallest street is named after my grandfather. Look it up, and it says Bruzzoni on it. Bruzzone is Bruzzoni. And I'm like, they give him the fucking smallest street, and that was all his property.
What was the spelling of that again?
Is BRUZZZ, like zebra, ONE. And it's called Bruzzoni Street or Lane, or no, it's like court or some, it's a fucking smallest one. And then when you zoom down, you're like, I'm like, oh my God. And they made this whole, it's like a little, like, those little triangle. I
see it, Bruzzoni Way.
That's it, yeah.
Okay.
It's not very big. That's my grandfather.
Coyote Creek. Yeah. I can see this whole thing. Yeah. On Google Maps popping up.
I got to tell you something, dude. I have so many stories about that creek. I could probably write a book,
You should, man. This is the kind of stuff you talk about nostalgia. When you can pick a place where people used to live and it changed.
It's just crazy. Like I was so mad. Like to this day, I still have like I wake up with sweats and dreams of like that house was still there. If you would have seen this house was owned by a doctor. It was an old farmhouse. It was like probably like 6 or 7 bedrooms. It was crazy. And we split the house with my grandmother, and it just was amazing. It was just an amazing place. It was one of those that you hear about like as a kid in a movie, and it's like. You don't have that anymore, like unless maybe in the Midwest, but even then, and I remember just going out for hours in the country. My mom was like, be careful, there's hobo, and there was. There was all kinds of, I could tell you a lot of crazy stories, but my best friends in the back were the Japanese kids that grew flowers, their family grew flowers. You know,
Oh
it's
wow,
just a weird time, dude. Yeah.
man! If they held on to that property, that'd be. I mean, that development alone, like if they did it today, it would be like, I don't know, 50, 100 million or something like
I'm
that.
so pissed because that same uncle that worked, and I'm gonna probably one of my family members will see this one day, but my same
Yeah,
uncle that worked at the Fremont plant there for GM, he's the guy that, and he brokered the deal to sell it to the Bum family.
got
And
it.
I was like, what? My grandmother got screwed, like
Oh,
screwed, barely got any money out of it. Like if I were to tell you, and I'll tell you one day if I can ever figure how much it was, but it wasn't much. You'd be like, are you kidding me? And it was like, those acres, and you saw how many streets and how many homes they could put on there. It
huge.
was virtually a neighborhood. It was a neighborhood.
It is a
And,
neighborhood, actually.
and like you said, you know how much prime real estate people were driving from San Jose to go to San Francisco to work. It's like crazy.
I'm looking at it now. These don't even look. They don't look that old. They look like nice. Yeah, this is expensive land. Yeah, that's yeah.
Dude,
That's,
they were like, I guarantee you, they're getting like probably $300,000, for a little unit or some stupid thing like that.
yeah, I'd say.
Really?
I'd say.
And I can't even start to tell you, like I buried like He-Man toys and things like that underneath the dirt deep. Like I buried, like, dude, I had so much stuff there. This is where I got my reseller nature from.
Gotcha.
Was across the street at the flea market. So, dude, it's a different time. It's a different world. So there's this book called The Golden Flea. If you get a chance, read it. Have you read The Golden Flea? Do you like to read books once in a while?
I should read more. Not I don't.
I'm lazy too.
A book reading family, like my mom, my brother, my sister, they all read.
I kind of figured, yeah, you came off as an intellectual. Like I know you're a smart guy, but you're like me. You'll probably do the bare minimum. You want to get something done? Ask a lazy guy. You'll figure it out quick.
I just looked up just a random place on Brazzoni Way. You want to know how much they're going for?
What are they, like apartment units or condos?
This one says 3-bedroom, 3-bath, 1,800 square feet, 1.1 million.
Yep.
Or the rent is $36.50.
Just for one.
Yikes, for one. And they look like there are hundreds of them there. Yikes.
Yeah, my sister said there's probably, like, if you go far back to where there's a golf course not far from there too.
Oh, I think I know that golf course. And there's houses there. Those are worth a lot too.
When we were kids, I'd go all the way to, and we weren't supposed to go to that part of the property because it was part of the flea market's parking lot, which I think they still have that parking lot. I don't think they can ever get rid of that part, but they sure as hell sold my grandmother's soil, and we would go out and collect golf balls, and like we would get money for them, so like there's always a way of like randomly making money. Like one time when I was a kid, I had this, like, what do they call it, red wagon?
Yeah.
I had one of those rusty, and I pulled it. And I'm telling you, I'm walking blocks, probably miles, but I would go in there on the off day. So like Sunday would be the last day of the flea market. It would be Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Then they started opening Wednesday. And then I heard they opened it every day, and it never did good. But if you came off on a Sunday, like after when it was really prime, I would go in there and there's trash all over the place. So I'd go look, as a kid, I'm like, oh, cool. Oh, toys, and I started realizing, right down the block where just past the cement factory, there was it was a junkyard, and they would buy aluminum tin cans.
Okay.
Aluminum cans, and then they would buy metal. So on this thing, I mean, imagine a kid piling high, like, and it keeps teeter-tottering down the road, and it's like falling over every 5 minutes, and I'm like finding radiators and alternators and just broken down metal parts. And I'd bring it there, and I'd probably make out like $20-$40 just in scrap metal.
You're scrapping away as a little kid. That's awesome. I mean,
I was like, anything I could do to make money. It was crazy. I forgot that I did that. And then one day, one of the guys that owned, like, he was one of the family members. He's like, "What are you doing in here?" And I'm like, "I'm just riding my wagon around." He's like, "Yeah, but you got a bunch of stuff." And I'm like, "Well," and then I had a plastic bag, and I said, "This is just aluminum cans. Is that okay if I collect these?" He's like, "Yeah, but let me see what's in the wagon." And he was so rude. He's like, "You can't have this." And he wanted, like, it was car parts and things like that. I'm like, "Oh, okay." So he's like stealing from a little kid in a way, And I'm like, whatever, but you
So
know.
what are you gonna do? I mean, but now you had it there for a little bit now. I mean, people do that as adults. I mean, scrapping. It sounds like back then. I doubt there were that many people doing that kind of thing.
I just was like, how do I make my, I mean, when you see it and you watch people, and me, I learned, I would watch a lot of people, like I would watch guys argue about haggling, and some of them getting either violent, and some of them being playful. And
Yeah,
then you watch and you're like, oh, okay, this is negotiating,
yeah,
And I've been told at flea markets, they go, you know how to haggle, don't you? And I'm like, well, it's just about communication. It's just fun. Just don't take it personally, and don't be an asshole. Be polite to people.
yeah. And you can also read the person a little bit, because what I've noticed is people that are super hard nosed about stuff,
Yeah.
they just take a little bit longer to come around.
What you do is you go, hey, did you see that
Sometimes
lady over there?
I was trying to buy some marble.
No, go ahead.
Yeah,
No,
exactly. You kind of come full circle with them, because I remember I was at an estate sale, but I was too early, and I think I irked the lady that was running it because she was still setting up the tables. Not too early, maybe 10 minutes. And then I kind of peeked at something, and then without saying anything, she said to me that, "Oh, those are not for sale." But it was weird because she had just put them down on the table. So I just kind of said, "Oh, okay." And I went back. I sat in my car for 10 minutes, walked back in because nobody showed up on time. And then I was walking around, and I avoided that table. She had like 4 tables. I looked at everything else, grabbed a couple things, and then I went back to that table. That's where she had a big thing in Marvel Legends, which those sell pretty well. And then she still had them on the table though, next to a big sign that says, estate sale. And so I said, how much for these? And then she gave me a price. She's like, oh, $35 a piece, something ridiculous like that. So I said, oh, okay. So then I walked around a little bit, came back again. Still nobody there. I'm the only one there. And this is not a big place. It's a front yard lawn. I can still remember it, like 20 yards of grass. That's it. And then, so I said, okay, so how much for this tub right here? So she had like 20 of them. She said, oh, I said 35 a piece. I said, for all of them? So I can, how much individually, if I took them all. And then she said, okay, hold on. Let me go ask my son. He wants to keep some of them. So she goes inside. 5 minutes later, she comes out. She's all, well, I have to pull 2 of them. But if you want to take them all, I can do it for 20. So I ended up getting for $15 a piece. She did them. But after she saw I was serious, I had the other stuff, and I pulled out cash, and then she's like, "Oh, okay." So I got them all for 15.
When they see that money, it's like, oh, it's like a cat smelling the catnip. It's like, ready, Yep.
And I'm not great negotiating, to be honest. I'm a person of few words.
No, but by that story, you're wise. You know how to, like, the key to negotiating is knowing when to back off. It really is. It's like it's like a push and pull. It is, and so when it's a lack of a better metaphor goes, it is a dance.
Yeah.
But it's like you said, like you've got to know how to read people, and you can do it in several ways. You can either be really good at body language, and you can be one of those likable guys. You just have that charisma, and then you can also you kind of just go with your intuition, and you know what I mean. Like you kind of go really, and you just kind of listen. There's guys that do that, like Matt, part-time picker. He's an observer, and he kind of he's always on the neutral kind of guy, and he's the likable guy. But
I always try to watch because I'm never usually the earliest one at a flea market or a garage sale or estate sale.
I'll when you are.
Yeah, but then also a lot of times I will see people trying to negotiate with people, and then usually you got 2 types of people: people that are like, oh, I don't care, I'll take it for whatever, or you got the super hard nosed people, and they usually can only hold that act for a certain amount of time. So it's a question of when's that ice gonna thaw, and when's it gonna crack? Because I remember there was a guy.
When are they gonna crack, and then when can you when can you get that person to look in a different way? You know what I mean? And there's an example I want to give you. Hold on one second. I just got to get a thing of water. I'm about to choke.
Sure. Go ahead.
I'll be right back.
Okay. Apologize. I've been ignoring the chat here. Maracas 7. Yep, super expensive condos in Santa Clara. You're right about that. I used to like San Jose flea market. Now a lot of Chinese junk. Unfortunately, there is a lot of kind of wholesale, remarketed Walmart, Target type stuff there. I haven't been there in a few years, but you can still sometimes find stuff. But you're right, though. It's kind of stuff you wouldn't really want to buy, unfortunately. But I mean, there are a couple of other good flea markets in the Bay Area, though, that I would definitely check out if you can. They're super cool. Yeah, the kids are down again.
I'm sorry, Mo. I just realized I'm just like, I've been like, I haven't drank a glass of water in about an hour. I feel like I'm taking up your time. I don't want to like bug you. So.
No, I've been listening this whole time actually. So
good. I listed this. That's the only thing I listed, but
oh.
And I have things like I should be outside going through my stuff, and I do this every month. Sure. It's like I wait till the last minute to do my flea market thing, and I'm like, you know what? But also in my mind, I'm like, I am not stressing out about this. I'm chill. I'm gonna glide all day. You know, my main thing is to list a few things because I'm really behind on that. But yeah. I'm gonna do drafts while I'm talking.
No worries. Go do whatever you have to do.
No, you know, I'll make, if I can make a bunch of drafts, then tonight all I got to do is take photos, and that's easier for me. You know?
That's kind of, yeah. It's actually, I do the same process. I do it in reverse. I take photos because I know that, especially towards the end of the day, even though I try and take photos in the morning, I know in the end of the day I'm not going to be thinking as clearly. I'll be tired, but I'm okay with photos. So I'll just get a tub or whatever it is, and I'll just take photos while the TV in the background.
That's why I wait to do my photos at the end of the day, because I'm already like kind of like, let me just, that's easy. I'll be lazy and like, I don't care how blurry they are, and then I can always tweak them later, you know.
I'm not, to be honest, my photos are not the best. I mean, I try the white backgrounds, but I try and get them out. The main thing is to get them done.
The main thing is just to do something. Yeah.
Exactly. Because if you don't, then
So no, back to what you were saying, like, you know, about that whole negotiating thing. That's a great story with the lady. You know, I had this conversation with this guy named Mateo. He's really big in the community, and he hops around a lot. You'll see him. His name is Matt Romero.
Okay.
He's good on T-shirts. He's there, and I got a good video for you to watch to go, oh, this is him. And you'll see how he comes off, but he's really the nicest guy. But he's knowledgeable. Like, he is crazy knowledgeable when it comes to like vintage and urban wear, like modern day, like, you know, single stitch shirts, the old school stuff, you know.
Nice.
That guy, he's crazy knowledgeable. And he was on with this guy named have you heard of Storage Auction Pirate? He's really big.
Sounds really familiar. I'm sure.
And it's funny, he's kind of like from the Bay Area, Modesto, kind of the whole Central Cali region thing. And I'm sure he's gone as far as Sacramento, but like he comes off as this real grungy dude. But he's got like one of those stories where like he was homeless and all this stuff and and then all of a sudden, you know, he's got like 50,000-60,000 followers or whatever, but he's doing good.
Oh, that's awesome.
For whatever reason, he got Matt Romero. Somehow, I heard you talking about flea markets like in the Bay Area. And this guy mostly does storages. And like, you know, he'll run across, and of course his videos are, hey, look what I found, you know, you know, those type of videos. But he was at a flea market, and according to this video, he was like, they just show the beginning, and he's like, he sees his bag, and it's outside of the bag is sticking this little bit of like piece of cloth, and it's like tie dye and all this stuff. He's like, and he kind of yanks it up, and he's like, and he goes, whoa, and he realizes it's a Grateful Dead T-shirt, and it's dead stuff. And then he pulls a couple more out, and he sees, oh, there's more. He's like, how much are these? And the guy's like, oh, you know, how much for the whole bag? And the guy goes, oh, you want the whole bag? I'll give you a good deal. And turns out he goes, can I look at it? Yeah. He's like, I got a few more over here in the box. And he's like, what? And he grabs the whole bag, and, you know, and somehow Matt was there, and they hooked up, and Matt was like, you know, Matt's like a dog with a bone. Like, whoa, what'd you find? And they connected in that video. Like, he's not always in his videos, but Matt knew everything about it. Storage Auction Pirate did admit in the video, he's like, I'll be honest, I'm not that knowledgeable about it. but they go back to his storage and they like go through these shirts.
Yeah.
The guy goes, "You want these?" He goes, "I think I may have a truckload more of these." And the guy's like, so he got these for like 5,000 or something, or maybe 1,000 or something, whatever it was. And then like for the total thing was like maybe 5 or something, whatever it was. But it was like, I'll send you the video. It's like,
I need to watch that. Yeah.
it's crazy. So like the whole reason I'm telling you is, one is it's a fun video and it's like great. And you get the concept, like, good fire t-shirts, when you got to, like, when it's just full on graphics.
You don't even find one of those. I mean, you just
don't find them once in a while. And I need to go back to the bins, but the bins are like, I know it's derogatory, but I call them t-shirt rats. So it's like, you guys, I've been doing this since I was a kid. Like I told you, Mo, I've been scrapping. I've been thrifting. I'm sourcing. I'm picking since I was a kid, and like it's just in my nature. So these guys, I always go to the bins, and even if it's not old, I'll find stuff. I'm like, you guys, this is like $30. Why aren't you picking it up?
It's so like much I found. I've only been to the bins a couple of times. The first time I went, I'll tell you this, was with Chris. You had him on your show, the Daily Refinement. I'd never been to the bins before. So he said, I think I was talking to him on one of his, I was in one of his chats, and he said, have you been to the bins? I said, no. He said, all right, tomorrow, 10 a.m., let's go. So I said, okay.
You went with Chris.
Yeah.
Well, I think I heard you say this once. Yeah, go ahead.
And he's extremely direct. Talking about direct. This guy's unbelievably
I love him though, but I love him. I love that.
Yeah. And then, so we go there, we show up, and I got there 15 minutes earlier than he did. And the first thing, I think I said this before.
He told me that you said, did you talk to the manager?
Yeah, he said, did you talk to the manager? So we went in, and he said, sorry. I said, no, I hadn't. He's all right, let's go in. Within 5 minutes, he had a manager's phone number. We were going through a pallet of shoes. And then a couple minutes later, he dives into one of the pallets, like literally dives in. And he pulls out like a white shoe, didn't look like much. And he just says, and he sets it aside on top of his car. That turned out to be an Apple shoe. I don't know what he sold it for. I mean, like he had it listed for 20 grand.
What kind of shoe was that? You said it was a what shoe?
Like an Apple shoe, like Apple, like corporation, like the computer company. So, and he didn't say anything about it. He just says, I'm like, and he just put it on top of his car.
He had that look, yeah.
And that was it. I mean, this whole pallet was his anyway. He bought the whole thing. But so my point is that you can find anything at these bins. Like that same day, I think I found a pair of, they look like warm-up pants. And they ended up being, I didn't even know these existed, breakdance pants. Yeah. Sold for like $90. And they're all gray, beaten up, but I guess the logo was kind of just stood out to me, whatever they were.
Yeah.
So yeah, the bins are
fun. Funny. No, finish. But you found, see, but the thing is like, we know what's fire, but like those same generation of kids that are sneakerheads are the ones that set the precedence for the kids that are doing it now. Mm-hmm. They really get it because it all goes hand in hand. But then it goes back to, you and I know this. It goes back to like the 80s when breakdancing and music and rock shirts and all that stuff, are you a pothead? Are you a ghetto kid? Are you this? Are you a preppy? Are you, all those, but like the 80s fashion clicked it all different, but it was also kind of like a melange. Like you saw the integration start to happen, which by the 90s, it was like, just free for all, like just jeans and shirts. But there was always this kind of like this version of it and this version of it, and it's crazy. It's like, yeah. So like, if you can do like what he's said about the negotiation thing and just learn to always up your game when that thing, I'll tell you what, I only told Luis this last night. I called him because I was telling him about our show. And I said, you got a minute? He's like, yeah. And he's like, yeah. I said, let me call you. Can I call you? And I'm like texting him and he's like, yeah. So I called him and I said, this. And I found out, this is who's going to be on our show the next 2 weeks. And he's like, okay. Oh, I got to tell you something. He's like, what? Remember when you called me earlier today? And he said, yeah, I was talking to this guy. On Instagram, he goes by Book Lobster, but he goes by something Lobster on YouTube. But he's a crazy guy, but he's funny. Okay. And I was on a live with him on Instagram just saying, hey, what's going on? How you doing? Are they locking down in California? And he's like, man, it's fucking crazy. No. And he's like, and as he's doing that, Luis calls me, and I'm like, and I said, let me let you go. Louis, so I let him go, and I'm like, what are you doing? I'm about to go into that store. And he's like, the one you got all those shirts for Willie Nelson? Yeah. He's like, dude, are you gonna go make a deal? I'm like, I said, it's late in the day. It's Wednesday and half off. All those shirts are gonna be gone. And I went in there. I didn't find anything.
Yeah.
But as I'm walking in, I find this it's like a little rubber man, and it bends and it's got two little things in the eye. And I'm like, what is this? And the guy goes, take 2 of them. They're free. Just take them all. And I'm like, what is he talking about? And they're brand new in a white box, and they're like 8 boxes stacked on top of each other. And I'm like, what is this? And the guy goes, just take them. And I'm like, I'm in the store. I can't steal, And I'm like, and he's like, I don't care. Just take them. And the guy's like really loud and obnoxious. I'm like, who is this? This guy's hilarious. And then I look over and I'm like, oh, there's the guy that I dealt with before that's right next to him. They're like 4 managers up there on this cash register. Because I thought, oh yeah, it's Wednesday, it's busy, people are buying clothes, going crazy. Yeah. So I go and I grab these things, and I'm walking around and I'm looking for shirts, and I found 2 shirts. I actually did find one vintage somebody didn't find. And then I found this, when you get it for like $2.99, you get a half off, it's like $1. Stuff like that I sell at the flea market. I found like giant A shirt, but it's one of those mega ones. It covers, it's kind of like, this is exaggerated. I was like, okay. I walk out and I'm like, hey, I said, maybe Louise. And I said, no, the guy's name was Jose. He goes, maybe Jose will know this. And he goes, what do you mean Jose will know this? Why didn't you ask me? I'm like, I just started laughing. He's like, oh, you don't fucking trust me? I told you take the whole goddamn box. And I'm like, how did you know I was going to ask? I said, I just want to know how much for a whole box. And Jose goes, take the box. Just take it out of here. And I'm like, don't you want to just take the fucking box? And I'm like, what? The box is 100 of these things.
What are they?
And they're alarm clocks. And it's got this little clip head, like you could put a paper or note or something. And I'm like, and then I open it. In California, do you have tollways on California tollways?
I mean, toll bridges, tollways, no.
No.
I mean, they're starting them. They're like the freeways, like Livermore, Pleasanton. Yeah, kind of. They have
like a fast path or something.
Yeah, the fast pass ones, the electronic ones.
We have those too, and it's called. They call it Texas tollways. Apparently, and they're really in big trouble in our state. They're like in big trouble because they're corrupt and they're overcharging people, and the government's going after them, and they're crazy. But and I'm like, this goes to show you how crappy their business is. They have this must have been a pallet of boxes of these things, and they never gave them away. They're supposed to give them away to their customers. So I asked the guy, I go grab it. I'm like, I grab a box and I put it in the cart, and I'm like, and he's like, you don't want those too? And I'm like, what? And he's like, there's more. There's bobbleheads. Go grab some of those. I fucking put them in my thing, and I'm like, oh my God, what am I gonna do with this crap? And I'm just like, I got like 100 of them each, and I thought, last week I found these little pill bottle openers. I think I told you about it. Yeah, and I'm like, I'm just gonna make a lot on eBay and maybe some other place and bring a crap load of this stuff. If I make a little bit of money, that's gas money. You know what I mean? It's like, what do I do with this crap? But it's like, if I can sleep on it and do multiple sources, just selling it,
Yeah.
You know that thing Lonnie has? It's called Big Cartel.
I think, I think so, yeah.
That's where he sells, he sells his stupid knives, when he gets those knives in.
It's just about constantly moving stuff, even if it's for 50 cents or whatever. If you can constantly do that,
it cost me anything, It's like it's crazy. Exactly. So you put that, and people see, oh my God, I get a pill bottle opener, I can have a flashlight, I can have an alarm clock. Yeah, that's a travel kit.
There you go.
And it's like, just sell this crap, and I sell for $5, whatever, and then $2 shipping, whatever, I made $1, and I just move it,
Yeah,
I sell 100 of those things.
I mean, that's how a lot of those stores, like the as seen on TV stores and all that stuff is kind of, it's not the greatest stuff.
But there's so much free crap out there. This is what I'm talking about. And the only reason I did is because Jose is the one I did this business transaction where when I found these Willie Nelson shirts, they were asking I don't really want to say because then everybody knows it, but it's they were asking like a full price on it, and I'm like, would you take this much if I buy them all? And he goes, yeah, I'll go get them and I'll look at it, you know. And I'm like, oh, good, you know. And then I did. When I went up there, I lowballed them even more.
No,
you
that's
know,
what you do. When you know someone, I mean, hate to say it, but when you know someone really wants to get rid of something, you can negotiate all the way down, pretty much. I mean, don't rip them off, but at the same time, make what you're gonna make. So,
Marrakesh is saying I used to like the San Jose flea market. Now I don't like to use the term Chinese junk, but it's true. Or let's just say a lot of stuff product from China. Yeah, that's true.
So there's a lot of reproduction stuff, a lot of like basic teas, that kind of stuff.
But think about it. They're in the Pacific Coast. You're going to get that crap in. You know, they're all coming off the cargo ships. But he said HP's moving to Texas. I know, Sadiq. I know where they're moving. They're moving in my sister city. It's called Spring, Texas. Look it up. And I go there, you know, sometimes.
He's moving too? My goodness.
So we got Tesla. We got Amazon. Texas is a crazy state, dude. I'm telling you, when Chris from Daily Refinement goes, he was just asking like I'm like, why are you asking this question? He's like, where's the cheapest state where you don't get taxes? And I'm like, dude, I'm gonna tell you this, and then come back and tell me that 5 other people told you, because Texas, you don't pay state taxes.
Yeah.
You pay sales taxes, that's it. But like you don't pay like annual state taxes. Yeah. So a lot of businesses come here for that.
I'm reading an article right now. I just looked up HP moving to Texas. It says the title is "The Company That Literally Started Silicon Valley is Moving to Texas." Like, wow.
Guess where I grew up at, Silicon Valley. And I remember HP was one of the, by the late 80s, they were like crazy big, weren't they? I think, yeah.
Yeah. I remember my tennis coach used to work for HP. He would always go on about them. Oh, wow.
I'll tell you what, when I was hunting with those I called them T-shirt rats, and then after a while, they're like, hey, you know, can I see some of your stuff? Oh, I'm like, oh, now you want to see my shit. You wouldn't share your stuff, you know?
Yeah.
And then I'd show them, they go, how do you know what you're getting? And I'm like, what do you mean, how do I know? You guys are idiots. And I'm like, just because I'm a little older than you think I'm some old fart, you know? And I'm like, dude, you're barely like this young, you know? I'm like, do you know the history? Do you know this? Do you know that about this? Like Apple. I said, dude, I knew when Apple, you know, is just starting, like in Silicon Valley. I grew up in there, like, oh, so you know all about this stuff. And I'm like, oh my God. You just wear it because it's hip and it's culturally applicable to that era.
Yeah.
I'm not wearing it because of era. I'm not going to sell it because of era. I'm going to sell it because it's you know, it's vintage. It's got a history and context.
Yeah.
Do you guys really know what the significance of this stuff is? You're doing it because it's hip, but you got to apply the history to it. Yeah. There's more to it, because it becomes even more valuable and it becomes more collectible. And you want to know why that shirt that you were selling for 150 is now selling for 350 to Japan? Because they know the history and the knowledge of that shit. Yeah. You know? And it's like, it goes deeper. Like the other day, I was so excited. I was watching one of my favorite shows. You're going to go, oh God, you're a geek. That's what Derek goes, you're geeking out. I'm like, I love history, but I like you were saying, you know, I like the aesthetic. I like this. I like the understanding of it, but I like to be knowledgeable as a reseller and a buyer, but also I appreciate the art of it. And yeah. I'll geek out on stuff like that. And like Antiques Roadshow, you know, backs up everything I ever think and say, you know.
That was huge when I was in England. They'd always have the Antiques Roadshow.
Yeah, I want to say they took it from our version, but I may be wrong. It may be the other way around.
I wouldn't be surprised, because there's so many old buildings and like companies, and you know, so the Antiques Roadshow fits perfectly in England. I mean, and when they talk about antiques, they're talking about like 1800 stuff, not, you know, something made in 1950, like mid-century.
I mean, it makes sense because they have some of the biggest auction houses. They have antiques, obviously. You know, duh. I mean, it's where we get half of ours from.
Yeah, I remember we found a bunch of. I remember my mom telling me when we moved into our house in England. I think they moved in like 1969, 1970.
Yeah.
They found a bunch of stuff in, not even just in the attic, but throughout the house. old
Wow.
furniture, pots and pans, all this. So they just left it when they left. It wasn't like a thing where you clean out the house. I mean,
And the guys in England, when I go on the reseller chats, Mo, they say, well, in America, you guys have these estate sales. We don't really have that. We have a different kind of format.
Yeah.
I'm like, you don't have estate sales? They're like, no. And your flea markets are car boots. And
Yep.
I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
And you know, and yeah, and so like I'm like, what do you call? And they have this funny, really like jingly name for garage sales. It's something like, it's got a weird name, but it's like,
Yeah. I mean, I have unfortunately haven't been there as an adult. I didn't really live in England, but I have been to a car boot sale. They're in the middle of a field.
I love it.
And you know, so and you're just walking around. It's kind of more like a flea market in a sense, just with a bunch of cars parked there.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I'm surprised, like they said they don't even, a lot of them don't even bother to put a table up. They're like, no, just it's out of the trunk.
just
Like
open up
here.
the trunk. That's it.
I
mean,
love it.
Sometimes in the back seat, and I mean, not even, or a blanket on the ground or something. But you get the best stuff there. I mean, people literally.
Oh, yeah. I love listening to these guys. Do you ever listen to the British resellers, like their channels on YouTube?
Yeah, I do. Like there's Zahir, Nick Hills.
Yeah, I love Zahir. Yeah, Z is great. He's a nut.
He's got his own store now. I think, on the main street there, selling like the toys and like pop culture stuff.
He opened up a brick and mortar. Wow.
Yeah.
Was it lately, or has he had it for a while?
I've only, like I've said, I've only been watching videos again and reselling for the last couple of months. So I think it's pretty recent, last like 2-3 months, I'm guessing. But if you look him up, I'm pretty sure that that's all he talks about that a lot.
Celebrity in Britain, just on YouTube. It's crazy. Yeah. But he's got a good personality. Like, I know one guy that's always trying to egg him on and get him on his show is Tommy Bernhardt, and I'm like, leave him alone, you know. But I'm telling you what, you know, Z, he's smart. Like he's like, yeah, you know, and he knows his shit, you know.
Yeah,
you know.
and I think he moved from the south of England to the north of England too, recently, or a couple of years ago maybe. So
as long as he's doing,
everyone's moving.
Yeah, well, that's just it. It's like it's the same kind of, it's a migration pattern where you gotta, like, you can go to the big cities, but then you get out, so you know, sourced, or you know, just and then I don't know why, but here in America, like they've been showing, like, since they redid the digital channels, now like there's all these mega channels. There's like one that shows retro TV and this and that and yada. But there's this one channel that keeps showing British, like, what do you call it when they go buy a new home? And this one is strict.
Oh.
You know what I'm talking about?
I mean, is it like, it's not HGTV, is it, or is it?
It's probably, it's not cable, but it's something like that. But it's weird. I'm like, what am I watching? And I get sucked into it, and it's like, today we're going to meet the couple, and they're looking for a home in this price range, you know. And it's so funny the way they do it versus the way we do it.
Exactly. I mean, I guess you watch it because you're intrigued, but if someone's really watching that type of show, they want to see someone within their own country, I would assume. But I mean, I guess it's fun though to see that. Like,
I like it because I get to see the different, like, man, these people are well off, and like, that's posh. That's like a little cottage, but it's like, shit, I'd live there in a heartbeat, you know.
Yeah.
And it's like, and like you said, because of the hysteria, there's a history, there's nostalgia, there's like also, you know, but it's fun.
No,
live in San Francisco, that's for sure.
I'm worried about, like, see, they were talking about in the chat, Gavin Newsom not doing a good job keeping these big corporations. To be honest, I don't think I'm not a fan. I'm not a anti Gavin Newsom, but I don't think he's gonna be able to keep any of these companies in the state. To be honest, if they want to go, they're gonna go. It's just too expensive. Period.
Do you think Jerry is funny? Because I remember being a young kid when what's his name? The last governor, Jerry Brown. Yeah,
Jerry Brown. He was back came back. He was in the 80s. He was governor too.
It was the 80s, and like, I think just right after him was Reagan, or was Reagan before him? No, he was before Reagan.
Reagan was before. I think Reagan was before.
And you know, I love going to Sacramento because I used to like to go to the Capitol, and the best, you know, they have portraits of governors when you go in the Capitol.
I haven't even been there yet. That's so sad.
Okay, when things slow, hopefully like when they open things back up and, the government, it should allow you to go. And it's usually, go when it's like not packed during the weekday.
Sure.
I don't know if it's still there, but I used to just go because I used to observe art. And so he had the most modern day contemporary painting of him. This is Jerry Brown. Back in the day, it was like, it looked like a Jackson Pollock almost. Like people were like criticizing, what the hell? And all the rest are like these poses and this and that, and you got these, I'm like, what the heck? And then when you see Reagan after, it's like, it goes back to the traditional, it almost looks colonial. It's like, oh God. But here's Jerry Brown. It's like, just like, it's crazy. And I'm like, I remember I used to go just to look at that. And it was an awesome painting. And I thought, then I was like, where did Jerry Brown go? Everybody says, he moved to Japan. He did. He lived there for like 10, 20 years. And I don't look it up. And it's crazy. And then all of a sudden, like, I'm like 30, 40 years later, he's back and he got governorship. I didn't even know it. Like it was like over my head.
Out of nowhere. And then like he got it. And to be honest, he really did. We had a giant, deficit. So he got a surplus back. I believe he got surplus
Wasn't
back.
that right after Arnold left?
Right after Arnold. Yeah, he was there. I don't know if he had 1 or 2 terms, but right before Newsom.
I still can't get over. I'm dying to go to Sacramento. And when I go there one day, maybe you got to meet with me or something. I want to go see these portraits in there, and I want to see Arnold Schwarzenegger.
It's something very kind of like,
You got guns. I'm going to be back. I'm going to kill people.
You can't mess with the governor.
Oh God, it's just crazy.
No, that's all. I mean,
Jerry Smokeland, Marrakesh knows his stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I worry about. I mean, California is always going to have an influx of people.
Yeah,
it's going to have to change. So I think big companies, these big corporations, are going to leave. Apple maybe not because they just built a giant.
Dude, it's like if you keep like the gentrification and the taxation of it, I mean, corporations are not stupid. They're going to Texas because one is there's so much land that's not massed. Even in like Houston is like San Jose in a lot of ways. It's like but it's like still got pockets and pockets of territory. Not cheap, but at one time, like this year, you could have probably went in and got some land pretty cheap. And I'm talking at a low percentage rate. Because of this whole thing. And it's still somewhat affordable if you have a good job and whatnot. Now, as a reseller, I don't know. I'm looking, but my credit sucks. So it's like I really want to get out of this city of Austin because I just never will be able to do it. But it's like I know there's places in Houston. I'm looking at Houston next. I'm thinking I got to get out of Austin eventually because I'm paying crazy rent here. It's like
we thought about moving out of the state. The only reason we didn't because both my wife and I, as parents, they're both still in the Bay Area, so we didn't want to go too far. We thought about Austin. We thought about we were thinking, I think Knoxville. We looked at. My wife looked at. She looked at Portland, Oregon, as well. Okay. We just
if we want a city for more bang for your buck, I mean, culturally, like culturally, I think Houston is the best. Because it's very multi-diverse.
I heard that? I was watching. Who was I watching? I think. Did you ever watch Anthony Bourdain? His old.
Yes. He loves Vietnamese food. Yeah. And Vietnamese, Houston, the shrimp market. But it's more than that.
Okay. So yeah, no, I mean.
I miss him. I was so sad when he passed.
That was because what I liked about him is he didn't really, maybe this is part of his downfall. He didn't care about, I'm Anthony Bourdain. He's just, it is what it is. You like my show, you don't like it, whatever.
Yeah.
So very kind of down to earth. I mean, I don't know the guy. I never, anything, but
yeah.
I mean, seems,
Yeah, I think he got some love triangle. I was really reading deeper into it. People are like, he was just depressed and I'm like, you don't understand the whole complexity. People commit suicide, but there was some deeper shit going on. Like I think his wife is getting blackmailed or something. I don't know.
I read something about that. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. That was sad. I enjoyed that his shows a lot. I'm not sure if he really enjoyed making them towards the end. That's one thing.
Yeah.
I'm wondering.
Well, and that's why, like, you can hear the disdain in his voice, like, oh fuck, I got to do this again, another one of those, blah 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 blah. But then he would do it, because it's at the end of the day, it's about a paycheck. But it also can go to show that maybe there was some kind of like there was some turmoil in him. Like he was very, he was very negative at times, but it was like in a playful way. Like, but he was smart. He was just uber smart.
He was well read. He spoke multiple languages, I believe. And then what I remember, I don't know why they stuck out in my mind. He goes to Egypt and he doesn't visit the pyramids. And he doesn't visit like the Sphinx. And the last shot of the show is him on a boat. And in the background, you can see it really small. He's all, maybe next time. He says something like that. It's kind of like, so that's what I liked about him. He wasn't the showy, kind of.
Look at me. I'm on top of the, it's like, and and maybe he's already been, but the thing is that he shows that kind of like playfulness. It's like, because when you travel, what are you really there for? Like, are you there to go see all the sightseeing stuff and get conglomerated with other tourists? And then you only see me. If I can get in like, God, I would love to go to a country and find a place that I can source and just meet people that way. And
I think your mentality would be different, though. As a reseller, our mentalities would be slightly different from maybe the average person. So, I mean, for me,
and meeting people that way, going to eat cheap foods and talking to those guys, you can find out the information you may not know somewhere else. Oh, you like this? No. I got a guy. Let me go. Let me take you to this guy. No. Let me take you to this guy. And then you like end up the next minute you're like sitting at a dinner table with people like, what am I eating?
Exactly. I mean, I don't know how he did. I mean, it's a lot to do. Even if you're famous, it takes a lot to go to a different country, meet a random person, eat with their family.
Yeah, there was that lady. Oh God, she's like John Legend's wife or something, and she was doing a travel thing with some other guy. I can't remember who it was. Somebody they were traveling.
We were talking about. I saw this.
What was that one? Like, was it Netflix or something? Or
he has his own show. That's Chrissy Teigen, and then let's see here.
I don't remember who the other guy was. I don't even remember. Was he some like gay guy or something? Or
hold on. I know who you're talking about.
But yeah, they would. But the thing was, the premise was that they go to a different place, but they would eat food, right?
David Chang, I think, is his name.
Yeah, it is David Chang. It is him, the chubby guy, right?
He's a chef, I think, and I saw him on Anthony Bourdain's show too. I think earlier. But
actually, I think Anthony is the one who introduced him. I want to say, and then I remember one day when I watched that episode where Anthony was meeting him. He's like, "Let me tell you about this," and they're both like cussing and this and that. Yeah. You're right. David Chang would go to different places with different people, and he did one. Did you see the one in Canada?
Did I? Were they eating a bunch of like foie gras and all that?
He's with that one chubby actor. He's like, is always a pothead. Yeah. And actually, they smoke in the episode, and I'm like, oh God,
Oh
yeah.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I see his face right now.
You know what I'm talking about? He's got a raspy voice, but like the whole time he brings them to like these Asian restaurants and stuff like that you normally wouldn't know because you have to go down an alley and you'd have to know the people and this that's the places I would go to. Like, when I was a kid in San Francisco, I got a place I could tell you. I don't even know I doubt it. If it's still there, everybody's dead. The real cooks, the people. It used to be in like Chuck Norris movies and stuff like that. And one day, me and my friend go to San Francisco, and we're like, I'm so hungry. And he's like, I am too. And it was like 2 a.m. And he's like, there's nothing going to be open. And we're like in Chinatown, and we see this window, like has like this light blinking. And I'm like, look, it's like, is that a Chinese restaurant? I'm like, yeah, but where's the fucking door? And there's this door that goes to a kitchen. But inside that, and I look in the kitchen, and I'm like, and the guy's like, and I'm like, I said, is it open? And he's like, and he gets somebody else. And the guy goes, what do you want? And I'm like, I said, is there a restaurant? Where's the door? And he's like, go in. Where do you go in? And he's like, look at the staircase. And this staircase was only big enough for one person to go up and down at a time. It was that.
Let's go. Okay.
And this is in San Francisco. It is called Sam Woo's Noodle House. Look it up and see if it's still there. I don't know if it's still there, but then everybody goes, "Did you know where you went?" This is after in retrospect. And I'm like, "I don't know." He's like, "You just walked in there?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And I was like, "I was with my friend. We were hungry." And he's like, "What do you remember about the place?" I said, "We went upstairs and there wasn't a lot of people." And he's like, "Oh, good. You went when it wasn't packed." And it says that where the table, as described the table. And I said, they were solid marble. And you could barely have enough room to sit in these. Yep, that's Sam Woo's.
I'm looking at a picture of it. They have a Wikipedia page that big.
Wow.
Really?
I didn't even know. I fucking fell into this place, Mo. I walked in there one night in the wee hours of the morning, and this guy starts yelling, "What do you want? Hurry up." And it's all noodle. I'm like, "I don't know. Pick me a lo mein. Give me shrimp." And he started, and it turns out that guy was the most famous waiter there, that he was known for yelling at you. He was insult you. And I'm like, I didn't even know he was. And turns out he was in a couple movies. I think somebody said he was in a Chuck or one of these Asian movies. I think it was like a Chuck Norris movie. And I'm like, I just walked in there. He goes, "Yeah, they don't let anybody in there. How the hell did you get in?" And I'm like, "I just walked in." And he's like, "Usually it's like a long line." And I remember it was the best.
Totally right about this guy. I'm reading on Wikipedia. He's known locally as the world's rudest waiter.
Oh, so I'm right. I was right.
Yeah. That's how he got notoriety as when he was a waiter. He got
the world's
rudest waiter.
Dude, that's an understatement. He was so mean. He got my friend and he smacked him on the back of the head. And then when he brought our food, he threw it and it splashed all over the place. And I was like, "What the fuck? I'm not leaving him a tip, you know?" And then he goes, "How much you got in your wallet? Leave me $5. Don't leave me no $1." And he's like, "Bunch of assholes, you bunch of white boys. Oh, get that up." And I'm like, "What the hell? Who is this guy?" And I was laughing, but my friend was getting mad. I'm like, "Just chill the fuck out." We ate that food, dude. It was so good. It was the best lo mein. Oh my God. It was, to this day, I could taste it. It probably had so much MSG in it.
That's why he could do this. I mean, I'm not saying it's right that he slapped your friend, but I mean, it's
like, dude, I was 19 or 20 years old, you know. It was crazy, bro. I can't believe you found that. I should look that up.
Wikipedia. Look up Sam, last name W-O. I Googled. I'm pretty sure it's the right place because it talks about.
Is it like W-O-O or I looked up a long time ago.
This is W-O, just Sam,
okay.
but I'm pretty sure this is him. It looks like a little wall place. First location was in Washington Street. Then they moved to Chinatown, and then he's got pictures of him hanging out with people, and if you scroll down, you can see that.
He was a funny guy because, all my friends growing up were either Chinese, Japanese, or, Laotian, Vietnamese, whatever, Middle East.
This picture is hilarious. Are you looking at this? It says Edsel with abused, in quotation marks, customers in 1982. And they're all laughing and hugging him.
Yeah.
And one's got
if that was 82, dude, I met him in, God, it must have been 89. Because I graduated high school in 87, so it was 88 or 89.
This guy.
Oh my God, that's quite a long time ago. I'm dating myself.
Oh, it closed. The restaurant was closed in 2012 due to safety concerns, but reopened in 2015. So maybe they're closed.
It took them 3 years, but it's not the same. I'll be right back. That's crazy.
MSG. Oh yeah, MSG. Everyone loves MSG. MSG, hunger makes the food taste good, especially late at night. I agree. And if you've ever gone to Chinatown late at night, those are the best restaurants. If you're in the Bay Area, San Francisco, right at the corner, awesome restaurants, and they're open late. You can get anything. I don't know if they're still open now though.
So one of my best memories growing up in San Jose was going to San Francisco. So in a way, I was a Bay Area kid, and I did spend later on, we would, I don't want to brag, but I used to get in trouble for graffiti art and stuff like that back in the day.
It's all good.
It was we were I thought I was going to be into skateboarding until I broke my knees pretty much. I couldn't skateboard with shit. And my dumbass friends went down Lombard Street and one guy broke his ankle.
Yeah, I could see that.
Another guy, but he got bruised from his hip all the way up to his neck. I don't know how you do that. And his rib cages were all bruised.
He slid. It sounds like he slid hard.
Yeah. And I'm like, you guys are dummies, you know. Some of these guys went on to become good, famous artists and stuff. It was a fun time. It was fun.
Yeah.
But the Bay Area is not the same, dude. It's like New York. You hear translations of New York or London, you know, during this era or whatever. But you know, they go through these changes and stuff. So yeah.
Everything's changed. I mean, and like I said, California in general, San Francisco's maybe like a microcosm, but the rest, like San Jose, like you said, it's getting worse. Hey, Carl, the lazy reseller. That's an awesome screen name, by the way. It worries me. I mean, a little bit. I mean, being a resident here. I mean, nobody's going to be able to afford a $2 million home when there are no jobs and where you can't even go to work. So I mean, I don't want to get political, but
I don't live in a place like that where it's like there's no like these. I guess what I'm saying, Mo, is you know, from the 80s and even before that, there's like these little nostalgic spots like Sam Woo's, you know, and all those places are drying up, you know. There's nothing that's significant and unique. And it's like, you got Tower Records closing. You got places like they were the epitome of the time. Did you ever see that documentary on Tower Records? It's crazy.
I haven't. I need to watch that though. I loved Tower Records. I used to buy, I remember the first cassette. I used to buy cassettes a lot. I'm talking about mid to late 90s, a lot of cassettes. I remember buying I was a big Pink Floyd fan. I was big radio fan.
Britpop. Go back. Wait, go back. What did you say? Radiohead?
Oh, I love Radiohead. And people Radiohead's one of my favorite bands.
All right, we're bros now. I saw Radiohead in 3 renditions. I saw I first got to see Radiohead finally, like probably about it must be like 5 years ago now. And I got to see them. But just before that, I didn't think I was gonna ever see Radiohead. And I'll tell you how I got to see him. Is I went to go see Tom York. I don't know how I heard about it, or I don't know why, but you know, and I'm from California, so I always love Red Hot Chili Peppers. But him and Flea ended up making a band together called Atoms for Peace. If you love Radiohead, I'm ashamed of you, and I'm scolding you here on YouTube. Is you better look up Atoms for Peace. Do you love Radiohead? And if you love Tom York, you're gonna go, why didn't I know about this? Atoms for Peace. And there's a whole hit. I can go on for days. Like, I know how he got the name of that thing. I know why he's got the name. And then all it was this. Like 10 years before Atoms for Peace came out, this is when Radiohead was still Radiohead, doing it. They're great stuff, nonetheless. You know, Nigel, what's his name? He's from Britain. They say, you know, they're all from Britain, but I'm like, Nigel made the 2nd or 3rd album, and he's still making he produces their albums. He was part of the band for Atoms for Peace because he was doing the digital stuff.
Okay.
And then they had, I think, one other guy that was somehow from another band, and the percussionist was from Brazil. And that was recommended by Flea. And Tom York goes, okay. And that guy was like I don't even remember his name, but it was like phenomenal. I got to see him live at Austin City Limits Festival. And I was like up as close as I can get, dude. And it was one of the best experiences I've ever had. And listening to him, and that album is top notch. I don't know why it never got more exposure, but
I hate this because I want to say mid to late 90s, once MTV had kind of grabbed, I mean, once it, you know, when it was a thing, they really picked and chose even more than radio. Radio always picks and chooses. You know, you've got this kind of radio, that kind of radio.
That's why I want you to watch Tower Record, because it talks about the music industry too. Watch that. Go ahead. Finish what you were saying.
I was gonna say, because there's so many good. Because Radiohead were one of the groups from England that kind of broke through. There were a lot of groups similar to them around mid to late. I mean, they were early 90s actually, but that never broke through here. And that's the stuff I used to listen to in high school. And you could actually see them. Like, they would come and try and, oh, nice. There you go. Oh, there you go. A moon-shaped pool. Nice.
I never did download the digital because I don't have a phone that I know it's going to commit it. Oh, this is the year I went to go see him. It was
You can actually see them like a lot of these bands for free, because what they would do is they'd come into San Francisco, they would play on, where is it? It was out in the open. Oh, nice.
Read this real quick. You see what that says?
Do not discard.
Do you know what that is? That is an actual, I can't remember which album. This is an actual piece of the audio tape that they recorded. They give you, if you buy this set, they give you this little piece of thing. And I somehow got 2 of them. I don't know how. You're supposed to only get 1. And you get the CDs and all the records in the back. And this is all Moonshaped Pool in the back.
Nice.
But it's crazy.
I think the thing Stir and Grove. I think that's correct. Because I used to see all these bands like, oh my goodness, I'm blanking on them.
So how many have you seen Radiohead?
I haven't seen them live. I haven't seen that many concerts, to be honest, personally. I mean, I should make a list of who I have seen. I've seen a handful of it. My sister, on the other hand, and my brother, I've seen everyone. She's seen Radiohead multiple times.
Oh,
like, multiple.
Dude, next time, just figure it out. Ask your wife to watch the kids. Just go see them.
Yeah, I should. I haven't seen a concert live for years, to be honest. I've gone to maybe 30 concerts in my life, not much. But like my brother and my sister, literally hundreds of concerts. I mean, everyone, you can name anyone, and either my brother or my sister saw them. If it was on the earlier side, like the early 90s, 80s, my brother. If it was later on, because my sister's younger than me, she would have seen them.
But it's like you said, but back in the day, it was easier to see them. And now when I did see them, we got pretty good close for this type of festival, but it wasn't close enough. Oh, and I forgot to tell you, guess they had 2 drummers. They had their drummer from Radiohead, and they had 1 guest drummer join them. And it was, when you have that much percussions when Radiohead was playing, and this was 2016, by the way. So I saw Atoms for Peace like 2 years before that.
Okay.
And have you heard of a band? I think I correct me if I'm wrong. They may be from the UK, but I think they're out of Ireland or Northern. Is Portishead?
Portishead, yeah. I won a Portishead calendar in 1993 on the telephone.
You still have it?
I've got to look for it somewhere, because it was like 92 or 93. It was a calendar. A New Year's Eve giveaway or something like that. I used to call in. I don't know if people call in anymore. I used to call in all the time, like 92, 93, 94.
You and me probably were like call-in geeks.
I was constantly calling. You could actually speak. You actually had conversations. There was you're
talking about with the DJ.
With the DJs. And then a lot of times the DJs would actually pick up the phone. I don't know if they do that. There was a guy when I was 8 years old. I don't know if I told you this story. I told this to somebody else.
No, not me.
I called John Peel. Was a DJ. He used to do a radio show in England, and he was there forever. And then my brother said, "You call him up and ask for." I didn't really listen to music. I was like 8, 9 years old, so I called him up. I requested "God Save the Queen" by the Sex Pistols. I remember.
No way.
Yeah, and I remember him saying,
I love you more and more. We got to talk music one day.
He said something like, "What did he say?" He's all, "You sound kind of young to be requesting." You even know what that song is? And he said, "Yeah." He talked to me for like 10 minutes. He's like the coolest guy. I mean, I think he's passed away now. But if you ever look up John Peel, one of the coolest DJs. He had his own radio show.
Celebrity, right? He was like a celebrity.
Yeah, kind of before cable TV, like the 80s, 90s.
No, they had a couple guys like that in the United States. I can mention 4 or 5 DJs. Most of them were on the West Coast. Like the one that was back in the 60s and 70s was Wolfman Jack. I never spoke to him.
Yeah,
but
I remember him.
Remember Casey Kasem?
Mm-hmm.
And there was another guy that did Disco Duck. I can't remember his name, but that's so cool.
Yeah, no, I know who you're talking about. That's
he had that radio personality. And he tried to do TV for a while, but it never translated. Yeah. But that's so crazy, dude. And then I got to see Tom York by himself just a few years ago with my daughter. My daughter was off. She was so happy. But it was a smaller concert because you know what it was? It was just Tom York, and he called it something like Experience. But that was experimental and crazy. I don't know if you love stuff like that, where it's electronica. It was
so much different stuff. I think he's like that's why you said Radiohead, Pink Floyd. He's unbelievably influenced, I think, by like Pink Floyd type. I think he's a lot better personally.
I think he's a lot better, and I wouldn't even compare him to Pink Floyd, but I think, to me, I said this before, and I'm not just saying this because I know you have a connection, but I think some of the greatest like architects of music come out of England, such as Pink Floyd, and you got your. I'm not a fan of the Beatles, but you had your Beatles and stuff like that. But like, I think it started with kind of Pink Floyd. There's other better bands from Britain. I know there is.
There's so many, and then to be honest, I mean, I don't listen to us. I should get back into listening. I haven't listened to much music for years, but
just put on some Radiohead, and it's so easy with YouTube. You're gonna go down a rabbit hole, but you'll feel good. You'll time travel.
I need to, because I remember in high school being so frustrated because I would talk about bands and talk about music, and they'd be like, "Who are you talking about?" Because I listen to a lot of like what they call Britpop here, which no one's ever heard of. Like, and they would like, for some reason on the radio they'll say, you mean like the Smiths, the Cure? I'm like, no, you're off by like 10 years there. I mean, I love
they're like, they don't even know who the Smiths are. Like when I was in high school, me and my friend, I love the fucking Cure, dude. The same year I got to see Depeche Mode, Britain. The Cure from Britain was the same year I got to see Atoms for Peace. I mean, that was the best year. And 1 weekend I had a 3-day pass. Depeche Mode, The Cure, and I love, I wanted to see Radiohead, and I said this will have to do. Nice. Then I got to see Radiohead later. Oh, and the way I got to see Radiohead was I didn't know who was the lineup, but if you ordered your tickets for that festival, they gave you like $50 off, and I went rolling the dice. I said Radiohead. I looked at their whole list for all the years. They've never been there. I said I'm praying to the gods that Radiohead will be here this year, and they did. They came that year. I was just like, going crazy. My head exploded.
That's awesome. I mean, I used to, my brother especially. Now that I think about it, I should ask him. I don't even know all the bands he's seen. Like he saw the Smiths live. He saw the Pixies.
No, he saw the Smiths live.
He saw the Smiths live. He is turning 50. Yeah.
Wow.
So this is
young.
I'm guessing this is 1986.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that.
Mid 80s.
Yeah. Because they were only around for a brief time. I mean,
very short period.
So he saw them live. He liked all kinds of obscure music, like pre-Bjork, like the ice sugar cubes.
Oh yeah. I love the sugar. That's Bjork. Yeah.
What else is
That's the other one I saw 3 times is Bjork. I love Bjork.
Bjork, yeah. I remember he tried to get me to listen to her when they came out with the Sugar Cubes came out, their first cassette tape.
People don't understand the Sugar because in the Sugar Cubes, the thing about the Sugar Cubes is that one guy that sang with her, he'd always scream over her voice. The crazy screaming. Yeah.
It's hard. I remember him saying, "No, you got to listen to this. This is revolutionary." And I was listening to it.
It's tolerable, and it's still good, but it's not the same.
It was hard for me to listen to, I got to admit. But I still remember that. Like, there were songs like, I can't even remember, Bicycle, like very, I can't remember.
You're going to laugh at me because for a time I kind of got stuck with, I loved it all. I would say I kind of got stuck in grunge music a little bit, but like, I'm talking obscure grunge, not so much the mainstream, which I still love Pearl Jam and, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But like I always loved like Butthole Surfers and stuff like that, and crazy punk bands and stuff that kind of like Red Hot Chili Pepper. But then there was like, I kind of went to a different realm of like UK music, and I'm like, who is this? Everything But the Girl, and it was a softer side. I'm like, my girlfriend, she got me into it. I'm like, oh god. But then it turns out I really loved them, and Tracy Thorn was the lead singer for that. But the guy there was only 2 people in it. His name was Ben something. I still get his emails. Like he does solo something. And Ben and Tracy Thorn were doing Everything But the Girl. And of course they had these like 1 or 2 anthem songs, but their music, the more I listen to it, I'm like, I get what they're doing. They're like their storyteller music. Like there's some if you listen to early stuff, you'd go, oh my God, this is like non-translatable. Like, but it was a style that was so late 80s. It was that transition phase of like, it was kind of folky. It was very guitar. And then I didn't realize I knew her. I didn't know I knew her. My friend used to make me listen to all this British music, and that there was a group called Marine Girls. Early 80s. And then early 80s. And I'm just like, oh my God, that's Tracy Thorn. But it was her and like 3 or 4 other women in the band. And I'm like, so I've been listening to her all these years. So she's one of my idols right now. Like, I love her voice. Like, she is, if you watch her and listen to her, she's like probably one of the smartest musicians out there. Now she's like really aged up and stuff, but she hangs in there and does her thing. Her and Ben had a thing. And somebody said, read this article. I'm like, what is it? They said, it's Kurt Cobain has something to say about her. And I'm like, Kurt Cobain? And he wrote in like his diary or something, like he had this weird list of like, this is like early, like 90, 91 or something. And he says, my favorite bands that influenced me. One of them was Marine Girls. And I thought,
because he was into all kinds of different, like Kurt Cobain, he loved like Elton John. He loved like, obviously the Beatles. So,
but you know who really influenced him was, and the guy just died. And I met him once because he's from Austin, Texas. Daniel Johnson. You know who Daniel Johnson is?
No, who's Daniel?
Well, that's just it. A lot of people don't know him because like he's one of these, like he's a they did a documentary on it. It's worth watching, like if you have nothing better to do. It's called The Devil and Daniel Johnson. But he was just one of these weird, quirky guys that was like, it turns out that he didn't know, and that as the documentary goes on, he had bipolar disorder. But when he moved from like some other country, and he like, not another country, another state, and he moved to Austin, Texas, and that was part of the story. But the thing was, in the 80s, he thought he was going to be a rock and roll band, so he joined some punk bands, and he did some weird shit. When you see this image of him, and Froggy Flips had an image of Daniel Johnson's drawing, and I went, that's Daniel Johnson. He's like, how did you know that? I'm like, because we have the mural here in Austin, Texas. I met him at Art Gallery. He's also an artist, but he just whacked out kind of like punk song stuff. But like he went away for a while because of his mental disorder.
Okay.
And these kids, he moved like close to Houston, but like it was one of those little mom and pop towns. You blink your eye and you pass through it.
Gotcha.
Kids, he was walking one day, and I guess he was walking to go get a Coke or some soda, and these dogs started attacking Daniel Johnson, and these kids were like, hey, and they saved him. They're like, who are you? And he's like, oh, I just moved here to this town. And he's like 20 years older than these kids. And they're like, well, who are you? And he's like, I'm in a band. I play music, and I'm an artist, and they're like, you want to start a band? So they started a band, and he got back into the music because of that. It's kind of crazy, but his story was when he did it by himself, he would play on these like little mini pianos, and he would get like an 8-track tape, and he would sing these songs and somehow splice it together where it like he had multiple things going on, and people were like, who is this guy? Like it was just very complex. Like he would sing Beatles songs, and it was only one guy singing it, but he would sing the parts for everybody. And like Kurt Cobain somehow found these cassette tapes.
He's kind of like they describe him as a visual artist. And like they say it was outsider, lo-fi, avant-garde pop. Yes, yeah.
Avant-garde is the best way to put it. I've seen his artwork at museum, or there weren't really museums or galleries, but this guy was like, it is crazy. Like he would do these like Hulk drawings, and they were just like bizarre. But his most famous one was this little frog-looking creature. He goes, "Hi, how are you?" And that's when like Kurt Cobain one day wore it like at an award show. People are like, "Who is that? Who is that? Who is that?" And he's like, "Oh, you wouldn't know him." They're like, "Who is it? Who is it?" His name is Daniel Johnson. He's an artist.
See, that's kind of what I liked about Cobain. To be honest, he wasn't the greatest singer. He wasn't the greatest. He was a good. I think his songs were great. His influences were awesome. Like you said, like that right there, that he could see that. I think he would have been a great producer.
Well, he was, and he would. I know he would have. I know he would have. And even his buddies. I wish David Grohl would like admit more, or talk more. But I don't think David Grohl has a grudge against him. But like he had to divorce himself because here's a man that passed away that was his best friend who slept on his mom's couch and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And
the thing about Grohl is, from what I've seen, is that he seems like a super sensitive guy that just doesn't say as much about that.
Yeah,
period.
he's very.
And then, but at the
You're
same
smart
time,
to observe that. Yeah.
yeah, and obviously he's extremely talented. But if he had stayed on the Kurt Cobain Nirvana train, we wouldn't have Foo Fighters. We wouldn't see him as a different entity, a different person at all. It would be like that guy from Nirvana.
Yeah, and it's exposed a little bit. I think he's talking a little more about it, but he doesn't go into detail. But do you know what's the name of that guy that was on the Comedy Central, and then now he's like the late night talk show host? Do you know what I'm talking about?
He was on Comedy
Not the Jimmy, not the two Jimmys.
Not the two Jimmys. He's on Comedy Central.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember his name, but he's still on.
I'm talking about he has Gore.
He's got the glasses.
That's Stephen Colbert.
Yeah, oh yeah, Stephen Colbert. So David Grohl was on there one day, but they weren't promoting David Grohl. It was David Grohl's mom, and she had a book or something she was promoting, and Steve Colbert goes very eloquently, and like, you know, he can be sarcastic, and sometimes he's never mean-spirited, but he can really poke really good. Yeah. But he was like, and he's sitting there, and you could see David Grohl was sitting there, not so much like to protect her, but that's his mom, and he loves her, you know. But it was all about her, and then, you know, they talked a little bit about David, and he's like, oh, you know, we're still doing things. You know, back to your mom, so she's promoting this book. Yeah, what's this book about? Oh, you know. And then Colbert, really, I was so impressed with him. I'm like, from this day on, that's my guy. I love David because his ability to be able to not only carry on a conversation, but be a good moderator, like as a talk show, and ask the right questions. And not only that, sensitive questions you wouldn't really think about. And he goes, I want to say something. I'm going to totally screw it up, but I'm going to paraphrase. But it was something like, he was basically showing gratitude to her. And he says, I don't know how to form this in a question. He goes, but I want to say, I can't even start to think from your perspective as a mom, what your contribution. He goes, and I want to be, if nobody's ever said this, because I want to be the first one to say it on air, because I've had this thought when I used to listen to Kurt Cobain's music or something like that, you know. And he goes, and he goes, he didn't say Kurt Cobain, but Nirvana. And he says, what your son was in, but you had this gentleman come to your house and sleep on your couch, and you would feed him. Yeah. And he goes, I know he lived, you know, that's not to be talked about. He goes, but if it wasn't for a mother like you, we would not be graced with the presence of the likelihood of your son and stuff like that. And he goes, all I want to say is thank you. Yeah. And he's, you know, and he shut up after that. He just, and like the audience was crazy. The audience was like clapping and crying, you know, and they were just like, wow, you know, that's something to say, you know.
Oh yeah, because I don't know, I'm sure you do too. I remember when they announced, this was like when MTV was a thing, and they actually announced that Kurt Cobain has been found, you know, at his house.
Remember the news at the MTV?
Yeah, I remember that vividly. I'm like, what was it, 94, I think it was. And then,
I think I heard it on the radio first, but then, like, you know, I would go tune into somebody, like sleep on somebody's couch. This is back when I was in college.
The reason that for me it was MTV, because that was the year we got MTV. We never had cable TV before that year. 94 is when we got it.
I didn't get to watch it unless I went to my grandmother's house or something, you know. She had cable.
They must have had some promotion or something, because my mom was cheap. She wasn't going to get it without that.
Yeah, my parents wouldn't do it either. Yeah, they did. They're like, we're not doing cable.
Yeah.
I watched Channel 44 from San Francisco and Channel 2 from Oakland.
Oh, I love those. I used to watch all the Warriors games and all the Giants games on Channel 2, all that kind of stuff.
Oh God, yeah. Speaking of, I don't have my hat. I have my Warriors cap on earlier. I had this Golden State Warriors.
One of the one establishments moving into San Francisco, the Golden State Warriors. So they just moved back. I think last year, was it this year? They just built a brand new stadium.
Oh, really?
Yeah, right on the water.
That's gotta be expensive, yeah.
But they moved out of Oakland, which is a bad thing. But I like going to that Oakland Coliseum. You can walk across, take BART. I mean, it wasn't the best stadium, but it's easy to get to.
Yeah, you can get to it. Now you got to go schlep a little longer. Yeah.
I haven't even looked at it yet. I've just seen pictures of it. So.
I don't even want to think about it architecturally, like, because you don't know when the next big earthquake's going to come.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they built that out of nothing. So, I mean, I hope it's structurally sound. I'm sure it is, but.
They had to learn stuff from Japan because Japanese architecture in Tokyo is much about that. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. Now, I hate to cut this conversation off because it's awesome, but I'm going to have to run out this. But, yeah, we got to do this again, man. Like I said, you've got a million thoughts.
Now that I know you like Radiohead.
No. I love listening to you talk, man. You talk about everything in every which direction, so that's awesome.
I'm a little too much tangent. Like, do me a favor today. Find a quiet time for Mo when you're like by yourself, and I don't know. Some people can't listen to music and list, but if you're able to do that,
I can listen to
put
stuff.
Put on Atoms for Peace.
Okay.
And just listen to it, and then listen to. Are you familiar with Red Hot Chili Peppers?
A little bit, yeah.
Can you tell when you hear Flea like he's playing his bass?
Kind of. It's pretty distinctive. I mean.
Yeah, when you listen to Atoms for Peace, you're gonna hear it's a dialogue. It's a dialogue between Tom York and Flea and Nigel and this percussionist from Brazil. Just look up his name, you'll figure it out. He's like the thread of the quilt of that whole band. It's like amazing.
Okay, I will listen to them today. So next time you can ask me about what I thought about it.
Sorry to bug you. I'm sorry. I probably didn't let you do much work, man.
No. The whole time that's what I was looking down. So I got at least 15 listings in. But
let me leave you alone. Hey, Marrakesh. See you later. And I think what's his name was in earlier. I'll catch you guys later. Right, thanks for letting me come on.
No, thank you. You have a good one though.
You too. Oops. I thought.